Hey, what is up, guys? It's your boy Aniki. We got Rex, Flo, and Ian already on board. Running late today because I was out of town, but we back. So, My Hero Academia, chapter 275, live reaction. I hope you guys are ready. Apparently, this chapter is hype, and I know we're on break for 2 weeks, which means Meathead stream next Sunday. Send me your top 10 list already. Send me your power scaling list. We doing this.
I finished it, but I'm still working on the 20 at the end. It's just the hardest one for me right now.
That's fair. All right, and yeah, I am feeling better. That's why I can do this. All right, I'm just hopping into the chapter now. I'm gonna start reading. Ooh, this quirk comes with a souvenir. All the data on people the previous user saw up to the second the quirk got stolen from them. That's what Caleb Cook mentioned. Quirk search reveals the location and weakness of anyone the user has laid eyes on. Must be fate. Wow. A cover page with Aizawa and the cat. Let's go. What are you saying? I'll explain later. I'm too far away to spot Shigaraki now because of all the dust and smoke. Please let me know if he suddenly changes course. Like I've got time for that. Smashing on the ground hard. Let's see. Endeavor's pulling up. He altered course. He's heading southwest now. Thought so. Thank you. I can buy the evacuation effort for some time. I'll try to lure him away. Huh, kid? It's annoying how they're all linked up. Might as well put a stop to that. Listen up, everyone. Shigaraki's changing tact. He's heading southwest, and he's got hyper regeneration now, so he's not the same as before. Not sure how, but Midoriya really is luring him away. Is he targeting the kid? Damn it. Midoriya's in danger. Hear that, Kachan? He's coming our way. Of course I heard. Were you listening? That total scumbag's turned into some kind of monster. All the more reason to play keep away. Boom. Flying over buildings, jumping. Why are you following me, Kai-chan? Want me to kill you instead? No. Use your freaking head. We're short on time, and who's the only guy who knows your deal without needing some long-winded explanation? Me. Duh. In that case, thanks. Don't get a big head about it. Follow you? You think you're the main character now? Or something? I've got unfinished business with that piece of crap. Because I'm the guy who put it into All Might. Ooh, this panel. One for all is just the bait. Because I'm the one who'll get payback for that day. It's the perfect chance to rack up a win. That's my Bakugo.
Yeah.
Get it? Good. Just keep it together and don't trip me up. Got it. Stupid Deku can consistently use full calling at 30% now. To keep it from wrecking his body, he only draws on 45% at the moment of impact. Wait. This is scary. Bakugo's narrating.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought so too.
guys. It's cool.
Prove Dustin wrong.
During his time with Endeavor and one-on-one training with All Might, every time Deku gets stronger, I grit my teeth to keep from falling behind. Even at this 30% speed of his, I ain't going to be left behind. I'll take his growth and make it all my own to rise higher, even higher than him, the chosen one. I'm not going to lose. I can't afford to stay a loser. Oh, here we go. A nice air blast like before, plus radio waves. Sorry, number one. You got to wait your turn. Ooh. My earpiece is going haywire. Searching. Oh, boy. You just like lightning. Ooh, what? We got a taste of it last summer in Kamino. Okay. I'm assuming this isn't Deku actually decaying. The voice in my head is telling me I just gotta have it. That fear of death. Hand over one for all, Izuku Midoriya. Whoo! This is... Wow. All right. Gran Torino. When I heard one for all over the comms, I had a real bad feeling. Were you kids looking to scrap with that thing? Shigaraki's decay obliterates anything he touches and then some. Even get hit with a piece of stray rubber will kill you. As you are now, you don't stand a chance, but listen, us heroes ain't out of the picture yet. Hang on a sec. That thing will be brought down by everyone who's left. Wait, did he just touch Ryukyu?
Just keep reading. Trust me.
Was that Midoriya and Bakugo? Why are they here? He's heading southwest. Is he targeting them? Crust, the number 6 hero, you kept me alive. And there are others who've also kept me in this world. Shigaraki, don't you dare lay a rotten finger on my students. Taking him down is why I'm still alive. You really are pretty cool, Eraserhead! Ah!
Horikoshi actually did it. Actually did the callback, the direct callback.
Niggas, we eating! Horikoshi has given us a buffet this day.
That Bakugo face. We haven't had one of those in a while.
Now, everybody has been calling out the death flags, and it's a little scary.
Yeah. By the way, Flo, whenever I was saying that, I should have clarified. That's just how I felt when I was reading it.
I think you guys can hear each other.
Oh yeah, I felt like it was a death flag too. Yeah, wasn't trying to spoil him.
So, I mean, all right. So Aniki, so what's your quick rating on the chapter?
No, this is a 10.
That's what I'm saying.
This is a 10. You playing with me? Y'all better quit disrespecting my mangaka, bro.
By the way, East wants you to send you a link, or send him a link.
I could have sworn I put that in the church. Did I not?
I don't think you.
Oh no, I didn't. I was too busy.
No, not for the StreamYard one.
Yeah,
you put it straight into the other.
Yeah, and he never got back in there. Dog. Hold up, because like this is too cohesive of a chapter as far as storytelling goes.
What I'm saying.
For it to be anything less than a 10, because manga is a visual medium. If you're gonna tell me this wasn't at like 5 out of 5 art, you bugging. So already we have way too many insanely good like quality spreads, panels,
the
facial expressions. The art is exactly 10 out of 10. Now, why is it a 10 out of 10 then? Because if you look at it, when you decide a chapter should be a 10 out of 10 or not, you should be looking at the story content, you should be looking at the artistic content, if we're going to evaluate a manga series like that. Now, let's talk about why the other half of that 5 out of 5 storytelling is coming into play here. How many character arcs did we just see coming to a head right here? How many? Bakugo's getting his personal takes on Shigaraki, getting his internal monologue and his feelings on his relation to Deku, finally getting to see him acknowledge the strength that Deku has. All right, we already got that. So first off, the Bakugo and Deku rivalry is culminating in this chapter. With the acknowledgement. Then Bakugo brings up his own guilt once again over All Might. So we're seeing how he's internalized that and how he's not necessarily letting it drag him down, but he's using it as that afterburner fuel. So now we have Kamino to everything that has like hurt Bakugo or everything that has wounded his pride is on the line in this it's on the line now. And that's just talking about Bakugo. But now we got to talk about how Endeavor's over here switching up priorities, trying to figure out how to do this. And without question, he's decided to accommodate that. Now, the radio waves are obviously an issue, distorting everything. Their waves might be back on.
Hey, Rex, you might want to mute yourself.
Yeah, Rex.
Yeah, Rex, you got a lot of background noise going on right now. What's up with that?
There we go.
I don't think he's.
Rex.
Can you? Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, all right. East is loading.
Oh my God.
My Archbishop.
Yeah. Took him long though. I don't know how we the damn street together. And I get back, I get a notification. Anki smash. Live reaction. What the hell?
Man, Zoom broke twice.
Now,
I don't know what's going on with Zoom right now, but fuck Zoom right now.
And I was looking for the StreamYard link, and I'm like, hold on. I looked at the layout. I'm like, this StreamYard, this ain't Zoom. What the hell?
Yeah, it's because I sent it in the Zoom one, and then the second Zoom I made, and then you didn't pop into that one. So then, but yeah. All right, and then we got first off. Aizawa's arc culminating. We're talking about the Shirakumo backstory. Just the sheer fact that he has been raised in this class for a year, and people have directly stated this must be Aizawa. They're like, "Oh, Aizawa, you must really like them. You must be really fond of these students, etc., etc." Nah, this is my son.
Did you catch the fact that he didn't just save like Ryukyu Whenever
y'all seen Rock Lock? You seen it? Well, Aniki probably didn't know, but Rock Lock is right behind Aizawa.
yeah, Rock Lock's there.
Yeah, if you look close enough,
Because Aizawa's got like a broken leg,
right
so
behind
Rock Lock's
Aizawa,
holding
which
him up.
makes sense since Dragon Lady and all of them were on the same person. Like
East,
Aizawa and all
yeah.
them were on the same person.
Hey, East, can you hear me?
East, can you hear Ian?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Damn StreamYard shit.
So Zoom a clown, StreamYard want to be a clown. Dog. They against your boy. They're trying to stop the greatness. Also,
Oh, what's up? What were you gonna say?
we just got to talk about the Shigaraki panel real quick though, because
Yeah,
You do
the
that.
stigmata have never been so heavily emphasized until this moment.
Now, whenever I read it for the first time, like that actually gave me like a jump scare feeling, like turning the page and he's just like right there.
Yeah,
Like I was like, woo, woo.
like
yeah.
it was like, wait, time out. He got there that fast?
Yeah, it was really good. Well, and he wasn't even looking at him. He was in the middle of doing the thing to Endeavor, and he's like, on the way.
It's important to note that Deku says that we don't have no eyes on Shigaraki because of all the dust around. So they had no idea. They couldn't see him coming in no way. And then out of nowhere he pops up. They look at each other. They freeze up. And then, oh my God, my heart dropped when I saw the panels of them crumbling. Like, oh, I felt this before, the image of death. I was like, oh my.
Yeah.
This is gonna be incredible in the anime if they do it right. Like
Also,
the music's gonna stop and like the whole screen's gonna go black. It's gonna be great.
You know what makes us really cold though?
Huh.
The fact that we got a scene of them, like the decay scene, but it didn't matter. Bakugo was still like, nope, I'm shooting you, nigga.
I'm going down. But the thing I was going to bring up earlier is that so originally I was kind of disappointed because Aizawa, it seemed like he just saved Ryukyu, but I liked the fact that they show that as soon as Gran Torino grabs them, Shigaraki already says, well, hold on a sec, like something's wrong. Mm-hmm. So obviously Aizawa doesn't know that he's trying to take Midoriya's Quirk, so he just sees Shigaraki coming for his kids, and he saved them then as well. So he like low-key saved them in the background before we even saw him. And so I just thought that elevated the scene a lot more for me. East is wanting into the thing again.
Oh, okay.
Now, should I defend my 8?
I mean, you can try.
Oh wait, let me. I'm gonna spill the beans on why I give it a 10 first.
Send Squid the link before y'all go start up.
You said send Squid the link?
Yeah.
Why you got 2 windows? No, whatever. All right, where's Squid at? Hey.
Wait. Why I gave this a 10?
Mm-hmm.
Was first
no brainer.
When I read the chapter title called Encounter 2, I already knew that Shigaraki was going to meet Deku, right? So immediately we get a call back from the moment when they met at the mall, and Shigaraki said, "The next time I see you, I will kill you." Right? That's all. So this is that moment. The second callback with being the USJ moment at the very end when he says, "Aizawa, you really are like cool," all that, and I was extremely geeked out at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the whole Bakugo scene. Then we have literally every single panel, jaw dropping. Every single page was perfect, damn near perfect art. I was entertained from start to finish. There was nothing I could take away from this chapter, and nothing negative I could say about it. That's why I had to give it a 10.
Okay.
Man, listen, and since we're on the gas train, go ahead, rack that up, because guess what we also got? We got rivalry check, best rivalry, one of the best rivalries in Jump today. Check. One of the best power scalers, and what my Bishop Aniki likes to call the stay in your motherfucking lane effect. Check that. You niggas ain't ready for that thing over there. Check that. All the pro heroes and adults doing what they're supposed to do, and it's guaranteed that everybody's going to be a 1v mini brawl on Shiggy, so everybody side characters still getting the shine. Horikoshi still flexing. Check that. Callbacks. Check that. Shit. The art, you can check that. Shit, Horikoshi wrote this shit. You can check that.
Yes, sir.
Also, what Shigaraki said means either one of two things is going to happen now. And because he blasted the radio waves, we're either going to get to see Mandalay is finally actually confirmed alive, or Mandalay being dead is going to be one of the biggest deciding factors in this game to keep away. Oh shit, kids in the chat. Hold up.
Square here too. I'm gonna drop that because we did this earlier and y'all got it.
Yeah, I haven't spoke mine. Well, yeah. I'm gonna need to hear Ian's 8.
All right,
Yeah.
You do that.
I don't think
I
don't think you'll actually disagree with my mentality. You're going to disagree with the number, but I don't think you're going to disagree with my mentality. So the only reason I gave it an 8 is because everything you're saying, I come to expect from Horikoshi. These are the things he does to me almost every chapter. What you have to do to get a 10 out of 10 MHA chapter for me is you have to have an emotional moment that just like, it gets me. And it has to be with a character that I adore. So the characters who got spotlight in this chapter, characters that I love. I love Aizawa. I love Shigaraki. I love Bakugo. I love him so much my voice cracked. You know, he's in here. But my son, the legend himself, Deku, he was in the chapter, but there was not a Deku heart-wrenching moment, and that is how you get a 10 out of 10 from Ian.
Wow.
You have to. Here's the thing. I gave last chapter a 9 out of 10 because there was the moment where Deku looked at all the people and he's like, I'm not going to say nothing. And he looked scared. He was scared. It was like all the way back in every fight he's in. He's terrified, but he's going to fight no matter what, and he's going to go off ahead. And then his boy, Bakugo, who he has reached his heart and he has earned his respect. All that stuff was implicit into the character. And I said, oh, Deku, my heart. It was so great. And so I gave it a 9. You had that along with an Endeavor fight. You had Shigaraki being scary, and the art was fantastic. That's all stuff I could get from any MHA chapter. MHA the GOAT. But if you don't have my son Deku giving a heart-wrenching existence, if he is not saving someone's soul, then how is it even possible to exist and give an MHA chapter a 10 when the heart of the series is not at its peak?
Because Horikoshi is so good, he can save Deku and still flex on us.
Mm-hmm. You're calling this man your son, but you wouldn't pay child support for a week. Don't play.
The overhaul chapter where he just one-shots overhaul and he catches Ares' head, 10 out of 10 chapter. If that was just the I have that saved on my phone for whenever I need to cry. That it just exists. If that chapter was just that panel, it's a 10 out of 10. You don't understand.
So wait, you got like a whole folder dedicated to stuff that makes you cry?
No, stuff that Deku does that makes me cry. Don't even care.
You better come correct.
Also,
so that's why it's not a 10.
You know what? I can accept my favorite character didn't get the I can accept that. But it's still at least 9.
But yeah, I'll give it an 8.5.
I'm not saying anything I said was logical. That's why a 10 is emotional.
It's funny that you said that because I feel kind of the same way with Bakugo. Well, Bakugo got his moment this chapter, so
yeah, exactly. If Bakugo is like a ton of people's favorite character, so this chapter you're eaten, and if you love Aizawa as well, then you're great. But for me, my son, all he did was die this chapter. That's not as impressive as whenever he looked at crowds of people and didn't even say a word, but felt that heroic spirit and rushed off. I mean, come on, there's nothing better.
So that's the next chapter. Okay, so all that means is that the next chapter is probably going to be a 10 out of 10 for Ian because he's going to be really hurt when Deku's hurt by the fact that Gran Torino is going to drag him away.
Yes, he's going to be like, no, I could have been there. I could have helped Aizawa Sensei. He was there for me during the overhaul arc. Yes. He got beat up by a naked woman. Like, what? And he's like, it's going to just hit so hard, you know?
I don't think the phrase he got beat up by a naked woman is exactly where he's going. All right, hold up, kid. You pulled up. How you been doing, man? We haven't been able to have you on in a while. Oh, wait. Is kid muted because he's not here?
Hey, it's Quinn and Rex. Try to talk.
Hello?
All right. So I heard his spiel about everything, and I gotta admit, it was very eloquent.
Yes.
It was expeditiously eloquent.
Ooh. Praise me more.
All right, I'm here.
It was spectacularly
All right, you're good.
Okay, kid.
Yeah.
So tell me, how did
Why
you feel
say?
about this chapter?
I really liked it a lot, and then it also made me upset in the end because I already
of the
know what's
break?
gonna happen. I mean, the break I understand because he needs to take his time to do what he needs to do, and I feel like the wait's always worth it in the end whenever he comes back.
Of course.
So I'm not really worried about that. But I already have a feeling that Shigaraki's gonna hit him with one of those bullets because in that last panel you see him going through his pocket. He's more than likely gonna use his strength alone to just fling one of those bullets at Aizawa. The only thing I can't predict is like what's gonna happen after that. I don't know if he's gonna die or if he's just gonna continue. If it's gonna be like an All Might thing where it's just like a mentor state. But the inner monologue is what really got me worried. Because whenever you put inner monologue in there, it can go like many ways.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, oh no, Bakugo's getting the narrated chapter. That never has happened. That's
No.
a problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because
You
I know a
know-
lot of people are speculating that he might get hit by one too, but like I don't know because I feel like since Gran Torino pulled both of them out of there, I don't really see them going back because that's just suicide at that point.
Do you know there's a mathematical equation that states the more that a side character narrates, the higher he is likely to meet his end by the end of 5 chapters? Look it up.
I mean, that does sound like science to me.
Sounds about right.
Guys, can we stop speaking such blasphemy around me now? Because I'm a little scared about this.
I mean,
Listen,
Bakugo, I'm pretty sure he got
Listen
plowed
to the
with
That's
this
like
right
a
now.
different character, bro.
listen to the people. We can't let the heretics, the blasphemy, do not deride.
Yeah,
You know that Horikoshi saw all those Bakugo's a time traveler 30. He's like, you know what? I was gonna kill him later, but I might as well get it out of the way now, so I stop getting fan letters.
Oh,
That's why in the author comment last week he said he was crying of joy and sadness. The sadness was that he was having to get rid of Bakugo, but the happiness was finally I'm rid of Bakugo. Gosh,
the sadness would also be the extra death threats that come along the way. So
yeah,
He's preparing for him.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
preparing for it. Yeah,
it's like, okay, I got my fan mail.
I know.
and
I know
got
the
my death
same.
threat mail.
I know the same shit
And
happened
we're gonna
before when
separate all
NBA
the
was
death
going
threats
on. I know a
into
lot of
one
people
fan
in
mail.
Japan apparently didn't like it because it was villain focused, which I don't really understand that. Because I like how the villains are fleshed out, so it actually gave a reason for people to care about them.
to be fair, I think
Yeah.
that was blown out of proportion because the sales don't
definitely.
really speak to that. Like the sales don't speak to that idea
It
because
was
basically
the
the best we got.
C2E2 CEO specifically. And
Yeah.
the reason why that was alarming, though, was just because that is a CEO of a company that is a partner with Shueisha.
Yeah,
Like, hold up. Are y'all really going to sabotage My Hero Academia with your old man nonsense? Like, that really was about to happen? And you also, Rex, I like how you said that because, yes, 100% this chapter proved Dustin wrong. We told him that there was no logical reason for Deku to
but
not
what'd he
be
say?
at least 20%.
Well, I missed what he said.
He was telling us we can't.
There was a 30-minute
I remember
argument.
I was at
about
work.
numbers.
Yeah, I remember I
Listen,
was at work when I saw this. I was
old head
watching your
energy
stream.
ruins
And I remember him talking about like how he's like, oh no, he can't use that percentage. And I agreed with you were saying, Aniki, because Deku's always been that way. Whenever he progresses with his quirk, there's always some sort of limitation. And we know that he could use the full calling to 30%, but then the other what was the word I'm looking for? I'm not sure what word I'm looking for, but like he could use the 45% in impact. So like I knew that it was structured properly. I didn't expect them just to mash it off the bat. Like this isn't like I don't know. I feel like Dustin was probably reading a different manga at that point.
You know, I have a response to the this is why you don't mess with old head. Old head energy ruins a series.
This man said old head.
Yeah, especially that Naruto PTSD running in their head.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my question to you guys: How do you
Listen,
how do
I
you
got
think-
many names for it. It's called post-traumatic shinobi disorder.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Oh yeah.
So my question to you guys is: How does Horikoshi write this in a way that, because obviously Aizawa is not going to beat Shigaraki. Now, does that mean he's going to die to Shigaraki? Maybe. But how does Horikoshi write a scenario with Aizawa? Because it's always been kind of a struggle for him to write him in a way without having to kick him out of the story. And for some people that can kind of be unsatisfying. So how does he give Aizawa a moment here without making him look bad?
So I'm thinking. Can I go first?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So what I'm thinking is, Aizawa, he's looking at Shigaraki. He disables All for One and Decay, and that allows Ryukyu and maybe Endeavor to get some really good hits in.
Mhm.
And then eventually, the Quirk bullets get bought into play, and
That or the posse shows up.
yeah, and what that basically results in, pick your poison. That Shigaraki gains his quirks back. They're no longer erased, and he starts bodying these guys 10-7 every round. Complete domination.
Yeah, my idea is next chapter will be called Hacky Sack, and it's just everybody bouncing around Shigaraki's body while he waits for Aizawa to blink, and then eventually they're about to kill him because Endeavor's like going ham with fire, and then Makia shows up and is like, all right, we would have beat Shigaraki if not for the posse showing up. Cool, Aizawa, you would have done it if not for a mountain showing up. GG.
That's
I
what
think
was
there's a
gonna-
better name for the chapter. The
No,
Eclipse.
Hacky Sack. It has to be that or else it's not a 10.
Because I think Horikoshi is gonna call back again to USJ where the Nomu end up pushing Aizawa, head to the ground so he can, put him down instead of. But now I think it's gonna be Gigantomachia pretty much killing Aizawa.
Yeah, and I'd be fine with that because that just, again, that's the idea of like you would have won if not for these things, and the idea of like Aizawa being there and like being the catalyst to almost take down the big bad, but then just like, oh, there a mountain's here. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
That
I
would
remember that it was said
make
before.
it be good. What are we gonna say, kid?
Yeah. No, I remember before it was said that his quirk is only good when there's like a whole bunch of people around him. So that's probably going to be difficult if the posse shows up as well.
Yeah.
It's going to have him struggling for sure.
Yeah. So somebody pointed this out, and it's like I agree with this. It to me, it's kind of hinted at based on the fact that he was able to fall from that high in the sky and land on his feet. But he's definitely gotten a massive durability buff. Because he just landed on his feet and like, all right, I guess I got to figure out how I want to take this fight now. So
You know how you can,
Stack. You got to
you know
get a
you
few
can
good picks in.
logically deduce if Shigaraki got physical boosts, just not even looking at them, just like using logic. So we know. So what's the definition of a Nomu? It's a corpse that's been remodeled to handle the strain of multiple quirks. What did Shigaraki get? Only that he's alive.
JJ, this is interesting. You think Shirakuma? Ooh.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing too.
I feel like
what
that might
if Aizawa dies, that what snaps him out of being like in that evil state, and then he teleports Midoriya and Bakugo out.
I think if this happens though, it'll be like a one-time thing, and then it'll cause like a massive shutdown. Like he'll literally like malfunction, break, and like shut down like he did at the prison.
Yeah, it's pretty much exactly that.
That sounds like a last resort kind of move too. So he has to use it when it's right.
Oh yeah, as Neil pointed out, Shigaraki just off of now physicals might be able to actually throw hands with him.
Well, Aizawa's not throwing hands with anybody because he's got a broken leg, so he's just going to be support.
I mean, you don't have to have a leg to throw a jab. It just helps because that's where the power comes in.
Fair.
But I feel like we just got slapped with death flags this chapter.
I know, for 2 characters, and one of which I was like, no way. Like, I was like, no way Bakugo's ever coming close to even being near death. In this episode, he died and came back. So,
Well, I mean, I had said, there's a chance he could end up.
Listen, bro, he had a spiritual death.
I really
Bad
hope,
vibes.
I really hope Bakugo stays alive, mostly because I need it. Horikoshi can do so much more of Bakugo later on in the series than just killing him off now. Killing him off will be a very impactful moment for this arc and will be huge in the community and people will be talking about it. But it will be so much better to keep Bakugo, for later on.
Agreed.
And I'm not biased. Don't judge me.
No, I think the best way to go. Oh, sorry, we're gonna say, kid.
Oh
No, that was me saying that me copying Flo's statement of, no, I am not biased. You have an essay-ass moment.
I saw this theory going around where Bakugo might lose his quirk, but only for the
That's what I
time
was gonna
being.
say. Yep.
Just to be in Deku's shoes to find that thing,
Yeah.
what he was looking for. Because I remember when he came to Endeavor, he's like, I want to find what, like, I already know, like, my quirk isn't all about, like, getting power and everything like that. I want to find out something that I'm missing. So maybe him being in Deku's shoes, he finds out what he's missing.
That would be so cool. Give him perspective and make him like a truly wise hero. And then, hey, we have Eri.
Yeah.
So if we need to give it back, like that's a long-term goal. And then he can truly become one of the greatest heroes
Yeah.
by walking a mile in like the average everyday person's shoes.
Yeah, guys, if anything major is going to happen to him, I can see it, like him losing a quirk.
Yeah.
But like yet again, it's like I don't really know if it like anything major is going to happen to him anymore since he's out of there. Because I feel like if they go back, it's just suicide at this point.
Yeah,
They're heroes.
But it's suicide, but technically a hero is supposed to take those.
Well, yeah, that is true. They
Yeah, I was gonna
take
say they're
risks.
heroes, and Bakugo's
They always-
also Bakugo. So
Yeah, definitely. They always take risks.
And my thing is,
Think of being a hero is suicide, but like without the instability,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe add the instability with that.
it's for someone else.
like,
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet type vibes.
with All Might in prison. Woo-hoo.
Here's what I need. I need All Might. Like today, he was going to get groceries, and that's how he's around. So we don't have to go all the way to the school. Chiggy can just be like, just pull him aside.
That'd be wild. Oh, okay.
He died with 3 mangoes in his pocket.
You know what I realized? All Might living through this arc.
For those meat buns.
If All Might lived
Yeah.
through this arc, it would destroy his soul.
Oh yeah, that's why I can't get behind the idea that he has to die, and like it'd be bad if he survived.
I mean, All Might needs to die. Him not dying here might be okay, depending on how Deku escapes.
Listen, I don't know if I could take All Might being degraded even more. He's been more degraded than a girls with the OnlyFan page. Come on.
Because I just don't think that MHA is the type of story, like, because people keep going by, it's like, but think of all the death flags of all the times he's saying, I want to live. But is MHA really that kind of, like, cynical to be like, you wanted to live, but that's not how life works anymore, and then just do it? I don't know if that's, like, the spirit of MHA. It feels like if he's gonna die, it has to be in, like, a heroic way. Like, he doesn't have to fight anybody, but, like, it needs to be, like, he's like, yes, Shigaraki, I still care about you, gives him a hug. Well, hug back, and then he hugs him and disintegrates him. Like it can't just be, like, this, like, I'm gonna live, and then you die because you don't get to decide All Might. Like, it just doesn't feel like MHA.
So my issue with that is,
I mean, what about Gentle?
hold up. So my issue with that is kind of, for this particular section of the story, it sounds exactly like MHA, because the whole point of this is that the heroes are kind of like having their dreams and everything that they've been fighting for collapse around them and slowly corrode. A hero who can't even do hero work anymore is kind of hits a point of obsolescence. And I think there's a certain level of honoring the stakes you've set up within the series that, like, has to be adhered to. And because to me, somebody was talking about how, one of the weaknesses is that one student, a student in 1A should have died, or like something like that. And I'm like, okay, the story has intentionally been set up in such a way that every time the students would have had an opportunity to die, the teachers have been there to make sure it doesn't happen. Like, they've made it a point to consciously emphasize they are trying to prevent the death of children.
Yep.
As one should. So,
I mean, you could always make more.
but like, for where we are right now, they kind of got to catch that L. And it's like, now is the time that if a kid could die, like, yeah, that would happen. It would make sense. But like, leading up to it, and the thing that I pointed out is that the overhaul arc is Deku's first sanctioned mission.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people think about
His
that.
first proper raid.
First actual allowed mission, and someone died. And then Deku has not had another sanctioned mission like until Work Studies 2, when he was running around with the literal #1 hero.
Yeah, where he's the safest he'll ever be.
Yeah, and also that also reminds me, this is the first time Bakugo is going to go up against villains.
Which is crazy to think about.
And it'll be kind of a shame if he dies, because that's such a waste of potential. Again, I'm not biased or anything.
No, I don't.
So
I
Bakugo-
I 100% think it would be a waste of his character to kill him because there's so much more you can do.
Yeah,
Hey, he has a lot more time to grow too. So I can't.
exactly.
That's
But
why I
taking
can't
his
see him
quirk, I
dying.
could totally see that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can really see. Like, if you're gonna do something big, that I could see
To me,
the quirk being taken away.
Yeah, because that's what I've been seeing these last chapters. It's not death flags, it's quirk death flags. Like the idea of like, I'm gonna keep up, I'm gonna la la la, I'm gonna surpass him. He thinks he's the protagonist. He was always behind me, and he thinks back to when he was a kid and Deku was quirkless. Like all these things, or just him being like, heroes need to protect everybody. Like I could just totally see like that kind of being where that's going. And like whoever said it, I think it was Kid, where it's like, walking a mile in Deku's shoes might be just the thing he needs to truly like personally grow. Because like he said, as far as skill wise, I've got everything.
Yeah,
So
he does.
I have a question for y'all. So, do you think at the end of the series, Shigaraki's gonna have a head of a dried raisin, kind of like his honorary dad?
No, I think
that only happened when he fought All Might.
yeah, I don't think he's not getting turned into jelly and living. If he gets turned into jelly by Deku, it'll be.
I mean, that is a question that East always brings up. Do you think, because he claims that end of series Deku will need to kill Shiggy? Is that something that we foresee?
That's tough.
Listen, Deku's gonna catch a case.
Nah, he's not gonna catch Chase. Here's the thing: he's gonna have to kill Shiggy.
Yeah.
If he's stealing the racing bullets, he's gonna have to kill Shiggy, and that's okay because All Might literally tried to kill All for One.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about from like a moral perspective, because that's kind of a good thing that the series has never really bothered to do. Like literally back at USJ, even though Deku subconsciously held back, like he didn't think about that. And then of course when he fought Muscular, he went ahead with that 100%, not thinking that guy was going to block with a billion muscles to his face. So I appreciate that the story has never really brought up the idea of like Fat Gum says like the only way we win is we capture him, blah blah. Like he doesn't bring up killing, but it's not like a code thing like Batman. It just seems like that's part of their job. So it's something where Deku could kill.
I think a part of the reason why heroes don't kill is that they're basically basing their image off of, again, the comics.
Yeah.
Like they're these larger than life, heroic and stuff, but that's all a facade. And I think if you were to allow them to cross that gray line whenever they feel it's necessary, more of the public would think of them what they actually are, employees, tools of the state, rather than real heroes.
So here's the issue. Part of the issue, though, is that here's what I like about the fact that the killing morality thing hasn't been brought up, because people like Captain America, people like Batman, I actually don't consider them to be good people for their no killing stance, because there's a certain point where you're not being moral, you're just being selfish.
I think the best stories are the one that acknowledge that. But yeah, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, it's like they don't want those deaths on their conscience. That's all it is.
Yeah.
It's not about the actual right thing. You can't tell me you're doing the right thing when you're literally letting this person get away and keep living and keep killing millions of people, or like hundreds of thousands of people. You are not doing the good thing.
One thing I don't like is when like some heroes, like let's say in DC, like Batman, he says, "Oh, if I kill the Joker, I'll become even. I'll go down a path I can never return from." But Bruce, you're supposed to be like a genius, right? Can you not tell the difference between a mass murderer and a guy who stole an iPhone?
Like, can you not tell the difference between killing someone because literally they're about to blow up a bunch of children?
Yeah.
And killing someone because you want to blow up a bunch of children?
Yeah.
Well, in Batman's defense, right? How I always interpreted that is that I always thought Batman is one crazy sick motherfucker. Like no matter like I feel like he's just one thread on the edge of becoming like, something batshit and crazy. So I think he just gives that, he just sets that as the line so he cannot push it any further. Because once you start moving that line, then you're gonna start questioning a lot of other things, and it might roll over into other things. Of course, you could stop yourself, but I guess that's how he sees it.
Yeah, because one day you go from killing mass murderers to killing crackheads on the street. It's that simple. slippery slope.
Yeah.
Which that makes so like the fact that like Batman fears that and like you have that, it's like no, then you don't have a strong will, and that means any mind control thing he should have never been able to break out of because
Well, if I get into one mind control device, what happens when I get into another?
yeah, and that's the other thing. Like Twice's death is emotional, but part of the reason I kind of like that it's so like as far as how he died is because technically
I know. Yeah.
Twice dying is
going.
supposed to happen there.
Yeah.
Like, no, this is technically supposed to be business as usual.
Yeah. Well, and also like I love it because Horikoshi doesn't like. I feel like a lot of fans of the series try too hard to sympathize with the villains. Where they'll be like, "Oh, poor Twice. Like he's just like a poor soul." It's like, no, that guy was going to kill children at the camp arc.
Yeah.
He was going to kill Todoroki and Deku, and he is complicit in genocide, like of that whole city or whatever. So Twice is not like a person who deserved like a heartfelt, teary death. And that's why I love that his clone got the heartfelt, teary death and the real Twice died thinking that he failed his friends and that they would never forgive him. Because that's the kind of death like him. That's what happened. That's the crazy
kind of message that was being delivered, really.
Yeah, and that's such a genius way of executing that character. And it's just so good, and it's why Twice's death is like so masterfully written. His clones to the day he died stole everything from him. They even stole his happy ending death.
Also, the other thing that's perfect about Twice's death is that we got to see him die twice.
And then Horikoshi flaunted the body for 3 chapters. Like it was epic. It was great.
You got Dobby pointing out, "Oh, hey, you see this over here?"
That's a body.
You know that's going to turn into a bunch of memes. Like when that gets to the anime, hey kid, check this out.
Hey kid, want to see a dead body? Yeah. But yeah, that's why I really just appreciate the way Horikoshi has been writing his characters because he understands that they're flawed. I mean, he said in an interview, like this is the thing people have brought up. It's like Bakugo can't really be redeemed or forgiven. He never said he was sorry. And literally in an interview, Horikoshi said like Bakugo's story and his redemption is still not over. He still needs to apologize to Deku for all the horrible things he said. So like he knows.
Yeah.
People are just blind. Like half the time it's like right in front of them. They just choose not to pay attention.
It is really what it is. Yeah.
They think everything's going to happen.
And it's bad faith criticism because it's the same thing where it's like, oh man, because I saw some comments on Dustin's stream where they were just like, I mean, Deku's got this horrible power creep and all these powers. Like, yeah, but how have any of his powers or power creep done anything bad for the plot? This is
called theoretical power creep.
Yeah, exactly. It's theoretical.
That's why I mean that Naruto PTSD earlier, because that's essentially what people are trying to relate it to.
Addressing what it is, post-traumatic shinobi disorder.
Yeah, and it's like even like if you pay attention to like after the what was that arc called? Joint training arc was over.
Yeah.
Deku was saying that he needs to take it slow and he needs to understand what he's working with now before he decides to go down that direction. People don't pay attention to panels like that where the character's having inner monologue and they're talking about how they're going to grow.
Yeah.
That's why every time like I scroll on Twitter or sorry.
Let kid talk, man.
No, but it's like every time I'm like scrolling through Twitter or if I'm like watching a YouTube video on like MHA, I always see somebody making that comment, and then in my head, I'm like, why is this person saying that? It's like, it was never addressed to be that way. That's just you thinking it's going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I've had countless arguments on this saying, it's literally right in front of you. Horikoshi is showing you how he's writing his characters in the story. I'm not sure what kind of manga you're reading. It's definitely not the same one I'm reading.
Yeah, it's not the one with
not hard to understand. It's like, I don't get it.
Because... everything about this, and that's the thing, right? That's part of what I like about this arc to a certain degree, is that everything about this arc makes sense.
Yes.
If you've just been paying attention.
Yep.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like, all you have to do is actually respect what, because like the issue is that people want something to criticize, and because they're seeking things to criticize, they're not actually analyzing the story for real. They're trying to find things they don't like. So if they read a line, a piece of dialogue, or a fight doesn't go exactly how they want or whatever, they got to come up with an excuse to say, you know, oh, this is bad. It's like how people complained in joint training about Momo's fight. Like, oh my God, Momo lost. no character progress. It's like, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Usually Momo, it's like, oh my goodness, I'm trapped, I'm losing, I'm failing, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And this time she straight up made the lucky bag, and during her inner monologue stated, as soon as this became a 1v1 fight, I knew I lost. So what I decided to do was to prioritize my team.
Yep.
And the thing is that if Tokoyami had been like not treating it like a training exercise, they would have won. Because like Manga Fukudashi wasn't handling Invisible Girl well, so he had speed blitz the two of them. If he would have like just straight up knocked out Shimage and Korohiro, he would have been able to pop back over. And what would Kendo be able to do against Dark Shadow? Really?
Yeah, exactly.
Honestly.
One could say he was too gentle.
Yes.
So I was reading about the whole like sympathizing with the villains thing. I think with people who like overly sympathize with the villains are like the type to watch a Demon Slayer, and then they get like the worst people imaginable, and then they see their past where they did like one thing that was like kind of not bad, and they're like, oh, he's such a innocent damaged soul, and then like forget the fact they like eat babies and stuff.
Like the thing that bothers me about that too, though, is just that you got characters like Doma who were just like sociopathic assholes. People were still like, "Oh my god, he's so sweet. He had to listen to people talk about problems. It's okay that he became a sociopathic, narcissistic, woman-killing freak." Like,
I
what?
mean, hey, listening to people's problems give you bad energy.
Here's the thing: you can write that character. Like Vegeta exists, and the reason it works is because the world of Dragon Ball Z has made it to where consequences and just like the act of killing a ton of people is not treated as seriously as something like the kids are gonna get killed. We have press conferences, we have society crumbling. Like it's treated like a big deal. But you can have characters who commit horrible atrocities, but like as a character, you can kind of come to redeem them. So, but it's just MHA is not trying to come at it that, from that perspective. So, by the way, to your point, Kid, where you were talking about people just kind of missing details, I can't tell you how many times whenever I watched the episode with the in season 4 with Night Eye and the Stamp, how many reactors I saw just like shut down the second that Night Eye said like you passed, because they immediately flash back to Naruto and they thought like, oh, it was because of his heart that he gave him the thing, and they wanted like Deku to come up with like a clever way to win. And it's like, no, he literally says, I was going to give you this no matter what. I just wanted to see if you had any skill. You clearly do, but you don't have enough skill that I respect you. And in fact, I'm only taking you on because I don't like you and I want you to fail. But literally, I would watch so many reactions where they would end their discussion being like, that was kind of unfortunate that they just kind of did the Bell thing from Naruto where he just got his thing because, he had like the heart of the cards or whatever. I'm like, that didn't happen. That literally didn't happen.
That's always confused me because Night Eye, so
He says it.
He says it directly.
To be fair, PTSD has many triggers, okay?
Yes.
To be fair, PTSD has many, many triggers, okay? So if they see a moment kind of similar to that, they'll completely forget like the actual context and then go into their, their flashback and, they start panicking, maybe start having some shivers,
And for
Well,
that,
the
little
thing you have,
backstory.
Aniki, you have another part to that. Aniki.
Oh no, I was addressing the chat. I actually did plan on reading Claymore at some point. So,
And this is not to dismiss a PTSD. The Shinobi arc traumatized many. So
I understand.
Still to this day.
Yeah.
Is that
I just start a fundraiser, honestly.
oh my god, a fundraiser to help people get over their Naruto PTSD?
Do a GoFundMe.
please help the Naruto veterans
it's
who
just
fought
buy
the
them
great
MHA
battle of
volumes.
the Fourth Shinobi War.
Yeah,
Just actually reading my hero.
probably
I'm
gonna be
keep thinking
better.
about commercial ideas now.
Yeah, I could see it.
We see like this old veteran who's like, I was
Probably be
I was
YouTube
there.
ad too.
I was there in the Waves arc. It was so good, and then it went
And like
past pain,
20-second
and then
ads on
I felt
YouTube.
true pain.
Yeah.
No, it's sad though because like I said earlier, a lot of things have ended terribly, but just because things end terribly, and so that's the other thing that people need to realize. I've seen it multiple times now. People are like, isn't MHA ending soon?
Oh, here we go, man. Here we go.
But these are the same people that call
Oh
it
my
Green
God.
Naruto. So then I'm asking, where's
yeah.
Kayuga? Where's the god figures in this series, huh? Because they're also the same people to call this Green Naruto. So
Like,
my
you'll be
God, man.
contradicting yourselves.
like
I
think about
literally
this,
see
though.
that like every day. Like someone comments on one of my old videos saying, "Hey kid, you think it's ending soon?" I'm like, "Where did it say that?"
And my thing is, okay,
And what gave you the impression?
because they're like, oh, it's a big climactic war, and I'm like, dude, was Marineford at the end of One Piece?
Right.
Of course, it was the good part.
Like Sabaody might have felt like the end because they got separated, but even then, you knew they weren't going to be like dead.
Yeah.
Like Sabaody could have felt like the end of One Piece, but like, and that's the thing is that a lot of people have read manga that have really intense arcs, and they know it's not the end of the series. And I don't understand how they're like, well, Shigaraki's strong, so obviously this is the end of the series.
Yeah, so that's it.
Like what?
Because every villain
Is
ends
lemon.
strong.
Kai got
They're
it,
never
got it.
strong in the
Nope.
middle. They're always strong at the end, you know.
Like
Because every villain's built from chapter 1.
just off of like how successful MHA is, expecting it to end before 300 chapters is kind of nutty.
Oh yeah.
Also, I
They
just
also-
feel like, you know, Horikoshi said something.
That too, but
Could've
like,
gone-
where the story is right now doesn't even make sense as an ending.
No, it doesn't.
And the only way it would even work as an ending is if Horikoshi completely shit the bed and like, let Deku hit like 85% or some shit.
If Deku came into this arc with all of his quirks understood and he had like 50%, then I could be like, hey, maybe honestly, because like if he's got everything unlocked, maybe it might be like a Fire Lord situation where like Aang hadn't mastered all the elements, but he still went in. Like,
you telling me he half as strong as All Might? Mm-mm.
yeah, plus 6 other things. Maybe. So
But it's like,
You can get the
and my
smoke.
thing is-
It's that simple.
my thing is that when you saw Shigaraki at Deka, and then you saw that like what Deku's improvements were, like, or where Deku was even during the Endeavor Agency arc, you should not have felt that Deku on any level would have been able to fight Shigaraki.
No.
But then the transition later, knowing that Shigaraki was getting another buff, like maybe current Deku could have fought Deka Shigaraki.
Maybe. You got to say expeditiously quickly. Maybe.
Like it's hard to say because the liberated Shigaraki had such a huge attack. You could argue that because Deku uses Wind Blast, he wouldn't be able to keep his hands on the ground long enough to do that in this form with 45%, especially because 30% should still be able to shoot air attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So like you could argue that just in full cal, like he could have just like peppered him with Delaware smashes and kept him from doing like mass decay spreads. But then like Shigaraki would have just been trying to like bob and weave through it.
I mean, Deku would also have to know that like his quirk like changed to where like it's going to keep going, so he didn't need that information. Yeah, that was something I really loved about the Endeavor fight, by the way, is that it proved that if Endeavor was at Daika, he could have easily beat Shigaraki, like no problem.
Yeah,
and that's just like a fun thing to keep in check. Of like even back then, there are still heroes who can, and like Eraserhead's here right now. You know, like I really love that there really are just like good counters to these things. Like just the fact that like when we saw what he did at Deka, it's like, oh wait, just float. Like that's all you need to be able to like stand a chance, basically. Mm-hmm. Now all Shigaraki has is that he's just got a bunch of stuff, and like you got to hit him real hard. But you know,
you got to hit him hard, fast. And I'm trying to figure out how. Wait, you guys think he used that teleportation quirk to get to Deku?
No, I think he was mid-flight because he's still looking down in that panel, like whenever he was putting his hand between his legs to shoot Endeavor. So I think it was literally just like, oh, I'm already here. I'm on my way. Like also, I think it's
yeah. He used air cannon to do that, right?
Yeah.
Also, I think we need to mention the fact that he made his first quirk combo.
Yeah, with air cannon.
Radio waves plus air blast.
So that's interesting. He said. Oh, were you gonna say, Flo?
Yeah, something else that, because East mentioned that in the stream, and something else I wanted to bring up that East mentioned is that the reason why we have a break this week is because he has to work on the volume cover, and then there's also another event happening, and then so Horikoshi is going to be pretty busy this week, so that's probably why he needed a break.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're telling me he's putting in more work?
Horikoshi doesn't take breaks. The manga takes breaks. Hori doesn't.
Yeah.
While y'all are
Mangakas
sleeping,
don't
he out
take
here
breaks.
drawing. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
mangakas in general. Or
And
Yeah.
oh man, though, like the panels of them decaying. The
did you see
anime
that?
has
Did you see
got
that
it.
one where the piece hits the one guy, and it's
Oh
still?
man, you ever get killed by a decaying rock?
Yeah, like he was like, if even a little piece hits you and like you saw that, and that. So here's the thing, that to me is also a
Terrifying.
giant red flag on characters like Wash, on
Yes.
because like people were like, no, like Anarchy, they wouldn't off screen. I was like, it's not an off screen, not really.
It's like they're just heavily implying that they're about to die right now, and like
Yeah, the ground's like,
And they'll come back to
like the ground or whatever terrain, whatever pebbles, whatever you want to call it's near them is like really dangerous to be around now.
I don't think
Whatever
Wash
is in contact with that decay, if you touch like a pebble or a stick, whatever the hell it is, you're gone.
So it's like,
Yeah.
Okay, because like I feel like a lot of people didn't agree with me, except I don't have anybody who was on that stream that was like, nah, they weren't the Pussycats. I think
Maybe it was just Dustin arguing with you, and you just thought it was everybody.
I mean, I actually tried arguing this in kids server. So basically, so Pixie was doing, her Earth defense and stuff. The problem is we were actually seeing cracks go past the wall.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
And then
seeing that.
he was assuring me like, no, he wouldn't off screen it. Okay. And here's my example. Like, I'm personally going to say to you here. If you see a guy tied up and he's covered in oil and a spark is just about to hit the gas, what do you think that implies?
Person's gonna be lit on fire.
Yes.
Self-explanatory.
That's the same logic I use
Schrodinger's
for...
death. If you don't see it, it didn't happen, apparently.
Oh, yeah. People did the same thing with 13. People did the same thing with, like, everyone off screen that had a name, even though it's like, come on.
I didn't even realize
it's
13 was in the chapter until you pointed that out. That was the funny thing.
This comic here,
but I do believe 13.
Logic, just so a guy who was barely relevant for 2 arcs could, get that moment.
But this comic here is my favorite. Mandalay would have telepathed with someone if she wasn't dead.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Mandalay's super responsible.
Like, why would she not communicate? Because with everything happening, at the very least, she would want to be like, hey, a bunch of buses that we were trying to save people with just got destroyed.
Well, it's because that she clearly can't use telepathy when there's a certain level of Black Air Force One energy in the air. That's why.
You got the radio waves going to mess around with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
the
next chapter is going to show us whether or not Mandalay's alive. Because if the radios go out and Mandalay doesn't use telepathy, why wouldn't she do that?
Yeah.
Why would she intentionally, knowing she could actually help with communication, after the radios just got blown out? Because even Burnham's radio went out. So like,
oh, I see what you mean. So like up till now, you could justify it as just like she's listening and keeping contact. Maybe she's helping people. But yeah, now if they're taken out and she needs to deliver a message,
yeah.
We got to pour one out for Coda.
Yeah, I mean.
Oh yeah, so that's a big thing. So if Shigaraki, because we all believe villains are going to win. So how does Shigaraki treat people like, oh, I don't know, Deku's mom?
Put them on a shirt.
What do we do with those characters? Like,
Here's what happens. They put them on a shirt. As in, they're going to take their dead corpses and staple them to a giant shirt.
So the thing that's sad, now that I think about it, is it might come to a point where Deku might have to flee and leave his mom behind.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, every superhero origin story almost all off being an orphan.
And then,
might be time.
Well, Dad's off in America on the computer, so we'll go see him. But otherwise, yeah.
And
but like Jiro's parents, Bakugo's parents, like there are parent characters that we've come to care about. I can't imagine Horikoshi just off screen killing those guys at least.
So you got to think like somebody like Mitsuki, her quirk puts her on the chopping block, which I'm fine with because I don't like her.
I've been more of a fan of Inko, to be honest.
Inko, that'll
She's
hurt.
a great mother.
She's a good mom. She's actually a good parent, even though she like fumbled the bag saying some like very discouraging stuff.
Yeah, but
where it came from is what
to be fair, it was pretty harsh and all, but you gotta think like logically, like, hey, this is basically like telling a kid in a wheelchair that he's gonna outrun Usain Bolt. Like, come on.
She didn't do it to be mean. Yeah.
Like, it's just logical. Like, no, you're gonna be confined here. You are not gonna go like super fast on a freaking track.
But there is power in believing and hoping, even if it's just a miracle, because it could happen, and it did happen. But yeah, regardless, I'm not psychoanalyzing his mom. His mom's good.
A dream without a plan is just a wish.
Oof. Somebody mentioned we might just end up with the trolley problem.
I can see Tomoro cheating before targeting Deku's mom to her, and thus we will get a trolley problem. Oh, okay, I know about that. Yeah.
Yeah. See, the one issue I have with that is I don't know if Ragdoll has seen Inko, and I don't know if Shigaraki is going to go that hard to get it. But I also think that Inko would literally tell Deku to run.
We might get a Superman scenario where she just dies of a heart attack because she gets stressed out over anything happening to her son. Like, that would be horrifying.
Pretty sure this is going to be televised soon. Wouldn't be surprised if it isn't televised already.
That's what I've been trying to figure out. Like, where are these cameras at, bro? Where are the helicopters?
Remember,
she's definitely going to be home seeing all this shit.
Yeah, she's going to see her son whenever he loses his arms. Because remember, search shows your weak points. So if Shigaraki or if anybody needs to know that, and we've been setting up the arm for so long, I need that payoff. By the way, moment Deku loses his arm, if that's the only panel, it's 10 out of 10. Doesn't matter. So and I'll cry.
So
I remember there's like a color page that came out, I think it was like the popularity poll. Looked like he had a
I know about that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But then again, all the suits were like heavily exaggerated.
Yeah,
that's true. I did like Bakugo, so it looked really cool.
He was a war machine. It was crazy. We got to get this man some sticks, to be honest.
What were we gonna say, Aniki?
I've been saying that he should lose the arm for a while.
Yes.
And because I was like, he's either gonna go with the prosthetic limb, or we might even get like a black whip arm.
Yeah.
And the thing that here,
pretty cool.
like if Deku was like basically one arm the entire series for the rest of the series, but he was using black whip, so it didn't matter.
So good. That'd be great.
But the thing that I have here is I could see Shigaraki's decay starting to affect his arm, and then literally someone having to cut it off for him.
And Deku,
you could say Shigaraki took a hand.
This is gonna hurt, kid. Oh, sorry, we're gonna say Squid.
Oh, I was gonna say, you could say Shigaraki took a hand. Like Shigaraki gave a hand, took a hand.
Wow, he outpunned me. I was gonna do something else, but whatever.
I'm wondering, what are they gonna do with Overhaul's hand?
Well, no. So the anime made it a little easier to see.
Yeah.
He never took Overhaul's hand.
No, he just took his arm.
Yep.
Okay.
Took, like this segment. It wasn't about getting that arm. It was about saying "fuck you."
Yep. Oh, okay.
This man only has This man has 1/2 forearms now.
That'll be an interesting thing to discuss as well. So there's all these plot threads that we know have to go somewhere because Horikoshi didn't set them up for no reason. So we have all the villains that are like a rogues gallery, literally just sitting in a prison. So we got to deal with that. We have Eri. We have Shinso, who's supposed to join in year 2, guys, but I don't think we're getting that. Mm-hmm. So Shinso's story's got to go somewhere. But obviously, I don't think he would be invited to this. So we have Shiketsu. A lot of at least Inasa is important. At least to Todoroki, I feel like. I feel like he's not someone we would just off screen. So how do you feel like? Do you feel like these things are going to be addressed in this arc? Because remember, Redestro doesn't want to destroy everything. He wants to create a new society. So how do you think those two conflicts will, do you think that's how we keep people like Inko alive? She just is living in this new, you can use your quirk freely society? Or is Shigaraki going to backstab him and just actually destroy everything?
Well, you have to remember this society would, in reality, have a high amount of chaos because at that point it becomes a matter of how strong are you in comparison to the person you want to basically take from. So if Inko gets into trouble with someone that is a very not so kind, it's night permanently. Go to sleep.
So the part of the thing here is that Shigaraki doesn't have to destroy everything anymore at this point.
Yeah, he doesn't.
It'll happen naturally.
Yeah. Okay.
Because he's already like deconstructed the society. He's already going to cause the deconstruction of the society.
Yeah.
Like the heroes aren't going to get to keep having their system, regardless of the fact that Shigaraki's out here flying through the air like a rag doll.
They're gonna miss all those cereal brand deals.
Like there's no way to really Shigaraki like just destroying everything is one like it. Yes, he wants to destroy everything, but I think the fact that he wants one for all more. One of the things that I could see happening is that they get out of they get out, and what it ends up being is that Deku's on the run, and instead of Shigaraki like just going to America and chasing after him, he basically pulls like a all right, since I'm out here destroying everything, I'll give you more power if you go and if whoever can collect Deku for me will get more power. And like that'll be the thing.
I like that
negotiation.
It's a power incentive structure.
Right. So like there's a power incentive. So then the future of MHA is a combination of Deku and them going about their life wherever they are living, trying to become heroes, tackling these issues, but they also still have the Hitman team from the League of Villains Paranormal Liberation Front coming trying to wax them. And eventually they use that to get like reverse information, like by like capturing people, being able to talk to them, figure out what Shigaraki's in like group structure is like, that kind of thing. So that's like a way I see them being able to like get back and get relevant to Japan while also keeping them a distance, because Shigaraki is probably not going to feel like it's worth his time to go all the way to America to do it when he can just establish everything.
Yeah.
Or you could have it where because they flee, because they go to the US, Shigaraki literally becomes a global threat and it's like, no, I'm coming for you, period, the end. Anywhere in the world, I'm gonna find you. So let's say he sees Deku save somebody on TV one day in California. All right, Makia, we out here. I'm riding you, swim across the ocean. Or however he decides he wants to travel.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. They made it a point to reestablish what Search is, and they didn't add any weaknesses. So he technically should be able to know where he is no matter what. That's the scariest part here. That's like the thing that puts a knife in this whole escape to America thing, because as far as we know, its range is limitless.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, because I'm pretty sure all quirks have to have a limit. It shouldn't just, there shouldn't be they shouldn't have a cap on everything. So I really doubt
the quirk's popularity literally about quirks having less and less limits and more power.
Time out. So the thing with Search is it does have a limit. You got to realize something very important here. On a very, 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 very technical level, they are still within eyesight range.
Okay.
See the building you're in. If you're in the Empire State Building and I'm in New York, pretty much, I'm pretty sure you can just see it anywhere in New York. So even if I can't literally see you in detail because human eyes work that way, I can still literally look at where you are. It's more about being able to look at them unobstructed and where they are. So if Deku's all the way around the curvature of the earth, he's not going to be able to look at him and see it.
You don't think so?
No, that wouldn't make sense. I don't think it's gonna have that much range.
Well, it's just the fact to me that because whenever I thought about it, it was like, well, to be fair, Search was invented a long time ago. That was like chapter 60 something. Yeah. Or like 207. So I was like, maybe he'll if he brings it up again, he'll bring up the weakness, but he didn't. So it was just to me all right, well, I feel like if you were going to bring up the weakness, you would do that now. So that's just like a thing in the back of my head. It's like, well, he didn't establish a new weakness and he kept all the old things. So, but I see what you mean.
Yeah,
and here's the thing. It wouldn't be a plot hole if he just said it. It was how you said it. It wouldn't be a plot hole. So
yeah, and so the thing that's just Shigaraki seems to be about as fast as Endeavor, so it doesn't seem like he's outstripping him in speed or anything. It's just that Endeavor is having an issue getting there. But I'm trying to figure out how Ryukyu got all the way there, or if they just didn't get that far, or if Deku and them were closer, or if Ryukyu's a lot faster than we thought.
I will say this: Horikoshi has never been good about spatial awareness. If you go back to like the muscular fight, when he does that 1,000,000%, he should have hit him off the cliff with the way he attacked him, but instead he threw him into a wall. And the room Overhaul and him fight in, that room changes size every chapter until it's the size of like a stadium by the final chapter of their fight.
So the only thing you can say about that is that because Overhaul was technically constantly adjusting the rooms and stuff.
When he did his initial thing with Mirio, he just kind of put up walls. But I see what you're saying. But yeah.
Hey, you got to turn your hideout into a football stadium. Come on, don't play.
I'm just saying, like, I think that's the implication of that, is that because he was making spikes and all kinds of other stuff, he was literally just like restructuring the entire underground.
Yeah. I just think that is if there was any artistic thing and any like nitpicky thing, I could say like Horikoshi's rather weak on is like. It's like the locations he decides to put the stories in don't really have too much iconography. And they're just kind of standard. Like we're just in a city, we're in a wasteland. And then in terms of like spatial awareness, he usually plays with that, but like, who cares?
Yeah. And especially because if you want, for this particular scenario, I think this is like one of the first times, not like since Kamino. Well, yeah, because Deka, we didn't get the wasteland scene until the very end.
Yeah.
Kamino, it turned kind of into a wasteland, but like people were still like spacing, and we got to see like the scale wise, like how far they needed to evac. Same thing with Kyushu, where we were seeing them like evac getting range. We don't ever get like specifics, so we don't get like the idea of how far they are traveling at the speeds they're, because we always know they're going really fast. Or like in the case of Endeavor, we know that we realized that was like Mach speed fighting between him and
right.
So it's like sometimes it's like, okay, like they got there really fast, that makes sense, but then at the same time it's like, I think it's one of those things that only in the anime will it be conveyed very well, because like the anime did a good job of like, you wouldn't think the Kyushu incident had bad like spatial awareness or anything like that, because they were just fast enough to keep it in the air, keep doing things properly. Kamino in the same way, they did a good job of handling like actually keeping the ranges in check. Overhaul, because of his powers, it's like either he was doing bad with that, or it's just him like.
I don't even think it's a doing bad thing, because that's just like, it's the same thing with like, why is Mirio not invisible? If his quirk is that everything goes through him, then that means light should go through him. Therefore, he should be like. It doesn't matter. It's just how the story works. The only time it would matter is if he brought attention to it and made it a plot point and then ignored it. Because for example, also like in the anime, like the size of the arena, like when Deku lunges at Todoroki in that final Sakuga thing with Yutaka Nakamura, like the stadium like extends to the size of like a track, so that Deku can run across it in like split seconds, but also take like half an hour to get to the middle. Like it, size variation is kind of a part of battle manga.
It's a dramatic effect thing.
Yeah, it's same thing with like thematic logic, to where like with Eri, to where like, yes, the reason her quirk is something that would inherently help Deku is not because we told you about the quirk at the beginning. It's because her quirk has been framed in a way that you don't know what it is, so it could be anything. And two, it's been framed in a way that it's a curse. It hurts people. And now we're being shown that no, it could be used in a positive way if someone is there to help her. It all ties together. It's beautiful. I cry. He catches her head. The end. So you can use different versions of storytelling to kind of get your points across. One of the things I always bring up is that Bakugo's explosions don't work like explosions. They work like he's throwing walls, because when people get hit by him, they just get like knocked back. But the only time we ever see like burn damage is in his fight with Deku in the bomb training. Like that's the only time burns ever appear on anybody, when he shoots them.
You see a little bit of like burning on Uraraka's clothing and stuff, but yeah.
But I'm just saying, howitzer impact Todoroki's face. He's just like, I'm tired,
So
we also have to remember that some of these.
Hold on.
Okay,
I
my bad.
that based on the amount of ice that like was created, that he tried an ice attack. Like, I think he tried to like go for defense, and that's what that was about.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter. That's the point.
But yeah.
So it's just, I just think it's an interesting part of like the meta of telling your stories, and what are you willing to bend for the sake of like dramatic effect and things. I think that's just fun.
Yeah. So I think this is, so as people were mentioning, like, they're hoping it gets, more global, and this is the arc to set that up.
Yeah. And
I think that it'll actually be worth it to go to America because of what's happening now.
Yep.
Before this point in the story.
Are you talking about like in real life, or are you talking about?
I'm talking about in the story.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's kind of
Before the-
coincidental.
Before this point in the story, there was no reason to go to America. Do you want to know why?
Yeah.
Same hero system, same exact hero system. So, like literally, Vigilantes tells you the United States is the first place where the hero system was formed. Of like the 400 or 500 active people, only 7 actually got approved.
And the Justice League.
189.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like you get all that information. So the hero system of Japan was the hero system of America, probably tit for tat. But watching what happens in Japan now is going to impact what happens around the world too. So to a certain degree, different countries, it would make sense that they would want to help out, or if they had these kids fleeing to them, because they're going to, one, change their approach to the hero system, just to make sure that they don't have what's happening in Japan happening in them. And then two, in general, there's still going to be some elite hero prospects that you would want to pick up anyway, just to help with your crime, with your issues.
Yeah.
Because like because they said it themselves, the sports festival replaced the
Olympics.
The Olympics. That also means that Shinso is probably fine.
Yeah.
You got to, because Shinso was seen in the sports festival brainwashing someone.
Mm-hmm.
They know that that's a good quirk. The U.S. specifically would probably really like that, actually.
MK Ultra 2.
Right.
And also, I meant also, since now that you've mentioned Vigilantes,
Mhm.
did you see the newest chapter?
Yes.
Yes.
I did
So-
read the latest chapter of Vigilantes.
You have read the newest.
Yes.
All right. So the thing is here, we are seeing in that chapter that Endeavor, like a couple of years ago, like maybe 2 or 3 years ago, is what's going on? I can hear my voice reverb.
Yeah.
You trying to say something, Flo?
No, I think Flo's mic just randomly started reverb.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I thought he was trying to be like, no spoilers or something. I was like, oh, okay. Well,
Okay, point being, Endeavor was a very bad person, and that might screw over Koichi.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking is that he might actually get arrested and thrown in charters for the murder of someone, and then they're gonna break out, and Koichi is basically gonna be a new mentor figure to Deku, which fits into the whole era of vigilantism in Japan in Liberation Society.
Ooh, that's interesting.
I like that. Because I actually want Koichi.
Also,
to
we
come
get
to the
really
fore.
cool dynamics because of Endeavor and Koichi. You'd be like, hey, that wasn't cool the way you
So,
tried killing this particular person, because he did try to do that in this chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Also,
man tried
I
catching
need
him.
to see Endeavor. I want to see Endeavor. Man, that technique that Endeavor used in the Vigilantes chapter is one that I need to see Hori drawn.
I mean,
Betancourt is
man using
good, but he's not Horikoshi. And I need Endeavor using flame tornadoes against Shigaraki.
yeah.
I need Endeavor using flash fire spin.
That'd be cool.
Now, and I'm also thinking like, I feel like 6 is gonna come back into the story because nothing is really hinted at his defeat really in the
Right now.
current arc of Vigilantes.
I mean, Endeavor will probably take him out.
Yeah, but
But-
you have to remember he has a hero license. So by Endeavor attacking him, he is attacking a registered hero
Right.
with the federal government.
A villain did manage to get a hero license. But
Yes.
I really want to, real quick, I want to address what Neil said because I threw it up on the screen. Because he was like, the only thing I find disappointing is that we won't get another sports festival arc in UA, but I'm sure Horikoshi could do something similar in the US. I was a really big fan of the joint sports festival. Like my hope was that, because I wasn't expecting the paranormal, like this war was not something that I had calculated for when I was like thinking about what would happen in the series. And so I always thought about how, well, if we're going to have another sports festival, if we're going to have their second year, it would be kind of garbage if it was just UA. Like we don't need another tournament that is just the same stuff all over again. So I was a big fan of the Shiketsu UA Sports Festival being a thing, where it would have like, so we would have gotten like different matchups, like possibly like Inasa versus Bakugo, like that kind of stuff.
That'd be
I was
cool.
thinking like maybe
But-
the US kind of has like a system similar to what a
Now,
show.
I would say that we'll probably get a similar arc where they're fighting each other, as a training arc in America, but it'll be more about like them literally trying to compete, and the tone will be different. It'll be like the sports festival, and in the same way the sports festival was about their careers and their futures. This time, these tournaments aren't about, you know, getting a sponsor or somebody to like you. This is you putting in the work so that you can get stronger. You're fighting these people like that are your peers, sure, but you're fighting them specifically to get stronger to go fight villains, and it's not the same tone anymore, because you know that this isn't a festival, this isn't a party, this is really a legitimate, just scrap, no holds bars training arc designed to make them get better, but it's a lot more intense. Yep, Triwizard Cup, that would have been nice too.
Yeah, if
I was also thinking that because the U.S. is focused a lot around celebrities, I'm wondering if like they kind of like a hero equivalent to the Grammys, or like, and the award for best rescue goes to, and then they like have this. Basically, they have awards given out and stuff.
Oh my!
Yeah,
I can see it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there was one, you know, we talk about like Horikoshi never wastes panels. If there was one moment that I think you could say that, it would be when Miss Joke is like, we should do joint training together at Razorhead, and he's like, yeah, I'll think about that, and that kind of never came back.
Yeah, so like I don't think that's just gonna get left off, because they even made it a point to emphasize Shiketsu working with them. Even though one of the things that I also think is fascinating is that because we had this 4-month time skip, at any moment we could get side stories that cover interactions between UA students and the other schools. So we don't have a chance of getting like some of these things back. And furthermore, I think it'd be kind of interesting if while all this is going down, Inasa pulled up, especially because he's like so like hot-blooded and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Because they shut down the operation. They consolidated the league, the Liberation Front, to 2 places. It seems like they can like combine them to 2 places: the hotel or the hospital. So from that perspective, or the mansion, not the hotel. So Inasa has to be in the vicinity of one of these 2 places.
Yeah.
So what's Ketsubutsu doing right now? What's Shiketsu doing right now?
Yeah, because we did see him on that big page spread. I remember that.
Yeah. So I think Horikoshi is actually saving Inasa, because you feel like he would have shown him by now in terms of just like being in the background. So I feel like we are due for like a Inasa comes in and saves the day for some moment. Because otherwise I feel like you would establish he was there.
Exactly. Like, why bring these characters up? Why put them on panel? Why put them on the page? Why talk about how they're all growing stronger, and then only like let us just for the lulls? Because like that's how people felt about Shinso in the Culture Festival, right? When he pulled up, some people were like, oh, like that was just Horikoshi, like, using a character.
Yeah, but no,
that was him making sure that we kept remembering that Shinso existed, so that when Shinso pulled up, you had no excuse. Especially because they also had a point to emphasize that one scene where he goes, Shinso looks buffer.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the anime skipped the establishing scene of him with Aizawa, where he's walking in the hallway with Aizawa, and Deku's like, "Hey, buddy," and then Shinso just doesn't say anything to him.
They did cut that out.
Yeah,
Bones has been cutting out a lot of stuff,
which I hate. I hate that they cut that. They cut Stain. They cut the overhaul book scene. Like, these are very important things.
The Stain thing, that was weird, because when I was like watching that episode, I was like, wait, where is he?
Yeah, and it's only like 1 panel, so
yeah, it's really weird.
And like,
he was in 1 panel. Hold up, wait a minute.
And the thing is that that's one of those things that's gonna suck, is that like some people only really remember the stuff they watch in the anime, and they don't remember the manga as well, because they read the manga weekly and then they just watch the anime when it rolls around. And they don't go back, they don't reread and all that other stuff. So they're like, oh, X, Y, and Z is missing, or like it's not as important, or they don't appreciate it because it's not.
Yeah. They might be like, oh, they might be like, oh, this just came out of nowhere that we're putting Shinso. He's just here because of like fan stuff or whatever, but he wasn't actually planned to be here with Aizawa. That's random. But it's like, no, all the way back, like way back, there's a scene with them together, so that was set up.
There's a lot of stuff that's being skipped that, while small, I think really
it's important.
Damages some scenes. For example, in Overhaul, they skipped the scenes with the mice, so now they don't get the connotation with the MLA army and the mice. Number 1. They also skipped in Remedial, where Bakugo actually can hear what's going on with Shoto and Deku, and that, and in the manga that really showed that he actually did have some tact when it came to it, because he was basically saying be violent to children, to an abuse victim, and it's just really missing that extra layer of context for some scenes that the anime just can't really encapsulate.
Yeah, I was almost worried they were gonna skip the liberation book in the episode. Well, I'm glad they kept it in there.
Oh yeah.
I was surprised they made my boy Mirio into a slideshow.
Yeah. Oh, don't
How-
go to that.
I could have made that.
Feel
I could've made that
Hopefully
power
the
just
Blu-ray.
which is fine. There's defense for it. So
Yeah.
Because I always say I like getting the slideshow more than the black bar.
I think that I've come to appreciate it. What I still don't appreciate is just the when he was fighting, how it was kind of like, I just feel like you could have made it a bit more clear what was going on. But the slideshow, I understand artistically what they were going for. I just think that I think it could have been handled a little better. But whatever. Like I don't like when it first happened, I was like, oh, lazy. But it's like you're really reaching if you think that it was just for laziness. I feel like.
Yeah. I know they usually address some things on the Blu-ray.
And if I'm being honest, part of me feels like they were aware that people had like such a strong reaction to Mirio and like his overshadowing of Deku that they kind of didn't want to go hard into that and have the whole point be missed.
Yeah, and it still didn't help because people are still like, Mirio, he should be the hero.
And like it's really weird.
I see that on Twitter every single day.
People are always like, I hate Mirio stands, and I'm sitting here like, he's my number one favorite character.
Yeah, that's the craziest thing is like he's your favorite character, and like I would only know that if I had seen like a list where you put that there, because otherwise you don't come in here with usual Mirio fan stuff. Where no offense to Mirio fans, I'm one of them, but it's usually like this undercurrent of like, yeah, but screw Deku also.
Mirio. Okay, so my love of Mirio is this. Yes, he was a young All Might. He was definitely a hero. I like the fact that because he was untouchable. Part of the point of Mirio losing his quirk and like in general having to unfortunately Mirio stands are the Zoro stands of MHA. That hurts.
Oh,
Really?
Ah.
I thought that was
The only difference is the Zoro stands actually get some harsh criticism from the entire fan base. Mirio stands to get a pass.
Like,
They're like, why couldn't he be the hero?
but like the thing with Mirio is that he was the untouchable hero.
yep.
Horikoshi was telling you nobody is untouchable.
He's untouchable and he's forcing you to feel me.
And he's still an amazing hero even without his quirk. And I just love that just in general my hero's kind of been breaking. Like I know deconstruction gets thrown around a lot, and I'm not going to say it's my hero's a deconstruction, but I do feel like Horikoshi has in ways been deconstructing the premises he's been set up of like with Kirishima, like, oh, a true hero runs without thinking, but then we show like, no, you can still be a hero even if you have to force yourself. Then you have he said in an interview recently that his ideology of what a hero means has changed, which is why he brought in the Jiro story, where he was like, I think I kind of limited myself, but really you could be a hero and be a loner. Like you don't have to work together with people. You could be a hero and save people through your passions. And Mirio kind of takes it of like, it kind of spits in the face of what All Might said, where it's like, no, you can't be a hero. It's like, no, you may not be able to live forever. You could still be a hero, even quirkless. And that's why Mirio, like, he really sticks out in so many people's hearts. So
yeah, Mirio had to learn the lesson that All Might's learning now at a way younger age. And so one of the things that I think about is some of the people who possibly lose their quirks. I personally believe that we might get a group rewind. So what would end up happening is that like Deku and them are like 18, and then some of the people who have to get rewound, such as like Hawks, maybe Mirko, and then like you have basically like a blast from the past squad plus them. But I don't think it would be everyone. You know what I mean? Like if Endeavor loses his quirk, I don't see him getting it back.
right. Some characters, it's better if they just don't.
Whereas Mirio, I like the idea of him getting it back towards the end of the series because one, it was like structured. Two, it would be beautiful to like complete the cycle in the same way that like Deku saved Eri and then Eri had to save him in the fight, and they were like chain saving each other essentially.
That chain eventually came back to Mirio and gave him his
right. Like like
They
him,
ran a save train.
Yeah.
and especially when you think about the fact that Deku saving like the show and seeing Eri smile is what also saved Deku from his depression to a certain degree after the overhaul arc.
Yep.
Again, they saved each other in the Culture Festival, which people who don't pay attention to mental health don't appreciate enough.
It's a good moment.
And
It's a cry moment.
yeah, like Deku, like that scene where Deku, and like that's when you start seeing Deku become confident again, because like you get the Culture Festival, and then we go to the Pro Hero arc. But like you remember, during the overhaul arc, Deku was really like down on himself,
Depressed like the whole time.
and Culture Festival, he was down on himself. And then Joint Training, he's literally like, all right, I'll be the bait. I'm running the bait, man. We're going to pull up on him. Blip, blap. Like, no questions asked. Deku was like, we got this.
Wait. Can I gush? Can I gush?
Gush.
Yes.
Gush.
All right. So
Gushing permitted.
afterward, we get the primo stake of a Deku moment where he, you know how all the way back in like with Coda, where he's like, I wish All Might were here to talk to this kid and give him inspiration. Then we cut to Eri, who is like, I don't feel confident about my quirk. I wish I didn't have it. And Deku just like gets down and he levels with her. He speaks to her really kindly. He gives like a smile, and he says something that during the Culture Festival he was ashamed of. He was like, oh, I had to be saved by Eri, and like I couldn't do anything. And then he confidently says, he's like, no, Eri, don't you understand? You saved me. And he says it with like a smile on his face, because that's not a point of shame anymore. He like shares that like the happiness that she now has, and he gives her like advice and things, and it's like, he's grown. It's so good. So yeah, you really see like that. I feel like that's the culmination of that like depression switch, where he can say to the person who he was like ashamed that like this little girl had to save him with her power and he couldn't do anything. He's like, no, that's great. That's awesome. You saved me. So it's just so good.
And I like that, because Star's just pointing out like why it was so depressing when Black Whip would manifest it that way at first.
Yeah, and he starts crying. Yeah.
But he's crying while still trying to get it under control, and he's angry, he's in pain the entire time. And yeah, it felt like One For All was betraying him, because One For All is a sentient quirk and it decided to do its own thing.
Yeah. And
you can kind of tell by Lariat's personality that like it made sense that was what came out, because he's kind of brash.
Yeah.
So like it was like his personality was leaning more into like what that is. And I think that's part of One For All is, yes, partially tied to emotion, but I think bringing out those aspects of those people's quirks within himself is also what is going to have to lead to that development. To a degree, like how Float, you see Nana's like this bubbly person this all this time. She's always like staying positive, keeping her head up, like staying above the negative like thoughts and processes. And even when she, like gave up her son, she was doing that to like keep him safe and like stay above all these problems and like try to stay like in the air above everybody, be a symbol. Even though she didn't like internalize it as a symbol, she very much operated and moved kind of like the closest thing to MHA Superman besides the celebrity.
But by the way, how do you think Float works? Do you think it's like Princess Peach in Super Mario Bros. 2, where you can kind of like you stay in one elevation, but you can move in different directions? Or do you think it's something where like, no, you actually just stay in one spot and the only thing that moves you is momentum? Because if that's the case, then Air Force is going to really come in handy here.
I think it's going to be like that because he's been studying Bakugo for so long. And so I've always thought that him moving with Air Force flicks, I thought that was going to be a thing before we got like the Float reveal.
Yeah, and he did use that once during the fight with Ending. Yeah.
Straight up like use his fingers to boost himself way really high up and then real quick whip.
Yeah, because that was kind of my biggest fear with Black Whip and why I was so hesitant to it. It was like, well, then what's the point of Air Force anymore? But if Air Force helps him get more maneuverability, then that's great. So
and Air Force in general, he needed like an actual ranged attack that didn't involve touching people. That's
true. That is true. Like the visual I've always wanted to see is a wall of decay and like the smoke of it, and then he shoots an Air Force blast and then rushes through that eye of the storm he created, basically.
That might be what we're gonna get later.
Because they made it a point, like even if like a piece of debris touches you, like you can get hit. So just like this idea that like there's all this dust and stuff, but then he shoots a finger flick and creates like a tunnel that he can get through like that and like speed blitz through. It just seemed like
yeah. And the thing is that actually somebody's mentioning how like we got like he's saying that the airwalk quirk that All For One had was probably Float, and he just called it airwalk. We can't sure about that. I would say the fact that Shigaraki like is using jumps and not necessarily flying,
Mhm.
might mean that airwalk might have been acquired after he gave up All for One. So that's partially to like limit Shigaraki's threat, because let's be real, if he can completely fly, yeah, you know, like I
All
think
for One was like, I'll keep that one for myself.
well, I don't even think that. I think he just didn't have it at the time.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Like flight quirks might not be the most common in the same way that like flame quirks or whatever aren't necessarily the most common ones that you have.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, what were we gonna say? Who was talking?
It wasn't
one.
me.
No one was talking.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought I had interrupted Aniki. I was gonna say, what are we doing with Recovery Girl? Do you think we?
Oh,
Because we have our healer, which is Eri, but that's long term. So, what do you think we do with? Like, there's a lot of characters where I'm like, what do we do with them without just being like, they're just like in the city. Like, I feel like Horikoshi has given a lot of these characters enough personality that he can't just be like, and then like Deku's mom's like probably dead, but like whatever, like he can't do that.
Well,
I don't think-
old people tend to have a history of going into cardiac arrest, so.
Yeah.
So with people like Recovery Girl, just like we got to figure out what's going on with Principal Nezu, who I think, like a lot of us talked about how he might be the traitor, especially because he's basically a mouse. And he himself said, I could be the traitor without knowing it. And then we got the final exams arc where he like kind of snaps and goes a little nutty.
He's British. Wears a suit.
Even though he managed to not kill the kids, it's still like that was a really nutso kind of way to approach it.
Yeah.
And so it's like he could very well be the traitor. I've kind of been in the camp, like if there was anybody in the administration that was a traitor, it was going to end up being Nezu.
Yep.
So
well, and it kind of has to be in terms of who do we know without it being a random person, because we know that Shirakumo, that was all the way back then, and someone was inside, and obviously Vlad wasn't working there, so that's like the only other character that you can be like we know Aizawa was straight, we know that President Mike's good, so it really, I feel like it has to be Nezu, and he's just has a standby mode, and then you just say like
son.
Son, and then he turns into that. Because my biggest thing against it was we've had internal dialogue with Principal Nezu where he's like, we need to find the traitor. But if he's just a Nomu, then that completely fixes that, and it's fine. So.
Oof. So how would you feel about Nezu being like having a monster form in addition to that?
Why not? Yeah, why not do that?
Attack of the Giant Rat Monsters, let's go!
Now you're in his maze, so.
Like, especially because you got to think about the fact that if mice really started like the virus, then it makes sense that
I am virus.
like a mouse would like show up and be one of the original ones experimented on by Uchiko.
And the first infected was in China, so.
And okay, so I always said that if it was a student, I always leaned towards Aoyama over any other student in 1A. And like I know
just for that one panel.
Well, it's because of the fact that during the USJ, he directly states where I was a secret.
Yeah.
There's the fact that he's always been really insecure about his quirk. And so there's incentive there for like an all for one negotiation. There's the fact that Dabi looked at him, made eye contact with him, and then still didn't do anything to him ultimately. He could have easily just been like, oh, that's a kid. And kept going about his day, but he chose not to, which was a weird decision. Then, and then of course, there's just the weird panel. There's him always like during the provisional license when he's always talking about how he wants to be equal to everybody and how he doesn't feel like he's as good as everyone. And then also remember that during the Aoyama chapters or whatever, it might not have been the Aoyama stuff specifically that we got that reveal, but he doesn't eat with anyone. So when Shigaraki broke into UA, Aoyama wasn't in the lunchroom.
Right. Yeah.
So Aoyama's been off screen at some pretty important moments.
With Aoyama, I resort back to my same original defense or my original stance with Nezu. Is in the forest training, we have an internal monologue where he's like, the villains or the gas is gone. That means someone defeated that villain. Should I help too? and I think that kind of kills that. But so I just think it's more impactful if it's Nezu because it's right in front of your eyes, but it's not like oh, you should have thought that, because again, there's the reason we can't figure that out is because he's a Nomu, and he's like he's not acting in a way that should be suspicious because this and this. So
my thing is that with Shoji, like people, I don't think Shoji is being saved for that. One, because he's been set up to be like Tokoyami's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But two, because his character arc specifically goes really well with mutant discrimination.
Yep, exactly.
And it would be kind of
for years. Come on,
like a wasted opportunity, especially because we know that something happened with when he was a kid, and like that's why he wears the mask. And then when you read the side novels, you also have the fact that Tokoyami Ida, Mineta, and Kaminari go to an amusement park. And Tokoyami meets a girl that's afraid of him.
Yep.
And until they can and her quirk ends up letting her blend in the shadows and stuff. And so he ends up helping her control the darkness, and then that's how they become friends. So, it was really a wholesome story. And so you kind of had a case of overcoming discrimination in a side story. And so I don't think it would be cool if Shoji kind of ended up being a traitor because of all the discrimination he faced. Yeah, it would be a normal plot line, but it would be very, very generic, and I don't know if I'd like that for him.
Yeah.
I would also like to mention. I'd also like to mention, in the Heroes Rising movie, there's Chimera. And in one of the sites where they were just describing the characters, they said that he had been persecuted for his appearance and chased by heroes. So that's a very interesting implication, because that suggests in some parts of the country there are actively racist heroes.
We know that from Spinner.
Yeah.
And the thing is we know that from Spinner. The CRC still exists, and
I mean it's an old extinct clan.
It's not an extinct clan. Because no. Horikoshi made it a point to emphasize that was one sect of the CRC that they robbed.
Yeah, some hate animal faces, some hate really.
So they're not extinct. There's still plenty of other chapters. They are My Hero Academia's KKK. There's not just one, KKK facility. If we just blew that up, we could get rid of them all. There's multiple throughout the country. So just the Paranormal Liberation Front had people all over the place, and we found out later, oh yeah, they didn't even have all their generals at the revival party, which in of itself probably would have made a difference in how Deku went down, if we're being honest.
They didn't have any of their advisors. They only had the executives and the civilians,
They had the executives and the fodder.
Yeah.
Also,
also one thing. Okay, so the MLA is basically criticized by some of the community to be basically useless against top heroes. The problem against that is that 99.9999999% of them are just angry civilians compared to heroes from elite hero schools and adequate, almost top level training at the very least.
See, yep. And that's one thing that bugs me is that the CRC was never taken out by All Might. That does bug me.
I mean, he didn't know.
The CRC have to be a well-documented thing that people know exists, because they're famous to a certain degree. If you remember, Compressed thought I figured these guys were washed up. So, and because they were going through this, I guess religion doesn't pay that well anymore or whatever. So it kind of
Well, I mean, do you think it is covered in their law under religion, where it's they're allowed to exist so long as they don't actually commit any crimes?
It might just be that.
That's what I would think it is.
Yeah, but any pro mutant group gets labeled villains. I get it.
Probably.
So
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, if there was any reason for All Might to not have dealt with it, I would assume it'd be something like that.
Hey, yeah, freedom of religion.
Yeah. Nah. A lot of the explain. We get some more details. Yeah, that's so when people talk about government oversight, that's something I'd like to see more of. Show me what happened with the CRC.
Yeah.
Yo, can y'all show me that child hero program, please?
Are they labeled as a villain organization? I think they should be.
Right.
They're a group, and because it's directly stated that some of them were violent as hell. So
They're
are they-
described in the description page to have been assaulting mutants.
yeah. So it's like, did they just go, all right, you guys are bad, don't do that? Because like if you think about it, when they were their most active, people probably would have been on their side for a good part of it.
Hmm.
Because like even
yeah.
when Destro grew up, like part of that was like we want to be free. All these restrictions are really, really heavy. But Destro also grew up like being hated just for having a normal quirk. That like, because we've seen an image of Destro, so
Man,
we
looks
know
normal.
that he didn't look like a super freak when he was a kid. So if they were willing to go that hard for him, the time he was rampaging was probably partially based around mutant discrimination. He probably had a lot of mutants in his corner.
I mean, like really heavy discrimination, just not
Because
normal.
one of the things that back when Nux actually made good videos, he talked about was how if you look back to the USJ incident, almost every single person that was with Shigaraki was a mutant type.
Yeah.
Ah.
Because think about it, like, you know, in stories we tend to think of villains as, you know, the antagonists and stuff, but in this world it's also a legal term. What is the legal term for a villain? It's someone that uses their quirk repeatedly in the public, or sometimes even once, without a license registered from the government. At that point, heroes can be sent to, well, arrest you. Well, no, detain you and then let the police arrest you, and then you go through your sentencing. Some
Yeah,
people don't even get a trial, like All for One. You know,
Yeah. Which has been, you know, so put into the mindset of the people that you have people like Sue who are like, no, logically, if you guys are just using your quirks willy nilly to do something that you want to do, doesn't that make you a villain? So
I mean, y'all. I mean, like in the newest chapter of Vigilantes, Endeavor straight up tried to commit like first-degree premeditated attempted murder.
Yeah.
He actively planned it out.
pretty cool. That's my number one.
Yep, attempted murder, tons of excessive force, domestic violence, gets his son killed. He's a real patriot,
Like that.
which is very topical.
Look, I'm just gonna say that Endeavor's reaction in Vigilantes recently, it like makes sense for where he is, and I kind of like the fact that Endeavor got pulled into Vigilantes specifically because we've gotten to see him be different, and even when we got to see him in the manga, like the only time we've seen Endeavor in the manga, it was at the sports festival originally. Like he was at the sports festival being like an asshole, but like he was just being a dad, and then you got to see that like Shota was hanging out with him during Hosu City, and yeah, the anime added in an extra scene so we could see him pop off. But like Endeavor was kept very much away from us. He was only explained as like a violent person, but we didn't get to see him be that person. So like watching him drop a fire tornado that like is traveling along a city block just to kill like one person because they're flying.
On site. I'd add on site.
And then like him being like, oh, I stopped this attack. Wait, Vigilantes are just villains to me. And he's even angrier now. And it's like, oh.
So it's like
boy.
that lethal force could be redirected at Koichi and Pop Step.
Yeah, Horikoshi really relied on kind of just like I think it was a decent enough fix to it, but that's one thing I always thought of whenever they brought up like, oh, he's had a lot of violent like, you know, saves and stuff. It's like, I'd like to have seen at least one, because he kind of just goes off the idea of like I mean, you see how he draws Endeavor early on. Like you can just feel it. Like, yeah, that looks like the guy who beats his kid and burns like the people he tries to save, or
And
like
his wife. Don't forget his wife. We can't be exclusive.
yeah. So that's
Anybody can get the smoke.
he kind of just went through like implicit kind of characterization for that. But I do appreciate that Vigilantes is kind of at least going to give us an example we can use.
Yeah. And
It just really shows how terrible of a person he was.
Chris, you do need to read Vigilantes, because people say, oh, like all this, like the cool stuff that happens in Vigilantes that people want to be in the main story genuinely doesn't fit. So I encourage everybody to actually read it instead of being because
Like seeing like Best Genius go crazy.
yeah, like one seeing Best Genius go crazy because there was never a reasonable opportunity for that. The Stendhal backstory,
More fat gum.
seeing how Stain lost his nose, seeing Fat Gum actually do a drug op with a racer back.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like these are all things that don't actually fit into the story because like they needed like 3 or 4 or 5, 6 chapters to go over these like stories, and none of them fit cohesively as arcs. Like where were we going to fit a flashback arc of Fat Gum working with Eraserhead into the main story?
Yeah, and Koichi's
probably during Deku's dream.
Yeah.
So like where we have fit that like anybody who's read the Aizawa flashback knows those 6 chapters don't fit anywhere in the series.
Yeah, there's places you can fit the concept, but in the detail it went into, you couldn't. You could have easily fit the flashback after that scene where he says like, "Oh, you're thinking of Shirakumo, right?" And then it'd be like, "Why are you trying to help that kid?" "Well, he reminds me of me." Flashback. But you can't do 6 chapters of that without really hurting the pacing.
Yeah.
Now listen here, it's a long tale, and it goes into the 6 chapters.
And the other thing is there's
Also, it'd be criticized as being generic because he starts to go on a spiel. Yeah.
also though there's Horikoshi keeps his characters adherent to their personalities.
Yeah.
In what fucking scenario is Aizawa about to sit
Explain it to
down?
Present Mike.
Yeah.
Like, not even to explain because like President Mike already knows, so why he's not going to bring up
Yeah,
that
exactly.
information. Like that's dumb. So like, is he going to tell the students this arbitrarily? Why?
Yeah,
Like,
the only person you could feasibly do it would be Shinso.
And the only time period, like right now, like if Aizawa loses his quirk, if Aizawa gets injured, then like you could do that story. But like think about that. It would take this war arc.
Yeah, this war arc.
Justify getting the Aizawa flashback so we can see what he all went through. And even then it would have to be like at the end of the war arc. And nope, still. Even still, because like at that point it would be like, who cares? Aizawa, like because like this flashback is basically to explain why Aizawa became a teacher.
Yeah, for the people who really didn't like the constant flashbacks and overhaul arc, they are having a ball with this one because he has never I don't think he's had like a single like extended like here's my past flashback because everything's built to this, so you know these characters.
See Aizawa swinging on a tree like Naruto did.
This reminds me of that time.
Yeah.
Swing Kun for 700 chapters.
I mean, here's the thing, though. I do hope the anime shoehorns it in. I don't really care because I do want it to be there because anime viewers, I don't think should be expected to read Vigilantes. With the manga, the reason I've never been a fan of the idea of oh, we shouldn't have to read Vigilantes is because if we're going based off kind of comic book, the way comic books are even told, that's a constant thing in comic books where it's if you want to learn more about this character, we don't have time to give them major focus now, but if you just read the spin-off story, then just go do that. And it's even easier with the manga because it's free. It's on the same app.
That's my thing. If we had to search, if we had to search for this story, right? If we had to go to a different website, if we had to, but no, it's the same app.
We gotta go into some back alleyway for some deals to get some panels.
Yeah.
Everything's on there. It's only $2.
Yeah. Take just once a day. Take the 5 minutes that you're gonna scroll Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube, any of those. Throw on some music and just take 5 minutes a day to read a chapter of Vigilantes. You'll have a chapter to read every single day for 80 days.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes.
Better yet, if you do 3 chapters a day, you'll be finished within 20.
Yeah.
So you can actively get all of Vigilantes before the month even ends. So you only have to spend $2 if you're remotely conservative.
Yeah. So it's just something where oh, sorry, what were you gonna say, Aniki?
Well, no, you're probably gonna say the same thing. It's it doesn't see. Oh, like Neil said, I read a chapter of Kaisen a day. Boom.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
a chapter of Kaisen a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah, but yeah, I just think that I think with the anime they do have a duty to put that in because it is important. But otherwise, I think the way the manga's done, it's pretty fine.
Even with the anime, where are you gonna put it?
Well, that's the thing. We need if we want to get our villain opening, we have to stretch out the joint training arc, which I don't think they're gonna do. So what we do is we take 2 episodes to do the Aizawa backstory, so that we can fit in 12 episodes for joint training. Because otherwise, I don't know how you do it. Because all of those fights are probably going to get done, except for Deku's, are probably going to get done in 1 episode.
Yeah.
Especially with them being like 13 to 11 pages.
Yeah,
So,
it's not like each fight should only be an episode.
the only one that shouldn't is Deku's, because there's actually like story that you got to stop the plot to engage with. But yeah, so I feel like that's where you do it. Like, I do genuinely feel like you have a part where afterwards he's like, Shinzo, come into my office, son. And yeah, we just do it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's shoehorned, we just do it.
Yeah. Like, okay, and somebody said they could put it in the season of the Paranormal Liberation Run. Part of me just kind of putting it before they go see Kurogiri is because you'd have to flashback to a time that Aizawa was younger to flashback again, or for that particular sequence.
I was gonna say, would you want to rearrange that and move the Kurogiri thing to before MVA? Is that what you're suggesting?
I would actually say, honestly, I think that Vigilantes, or at least that, should just be an OVA.
If they did that, I'd be fine with that as well. Yep, that's a good idea.
They should just make some OVAs. Like, oh, My Hero Special. Like, they could do like different arcs of Vigilantes as little specials.
Yeah,
it would work.
Because you really can kind of trim some of like the Midnight stuff from the Aizawa flashback.
See, but here's the thing. I don't think that Midnight stuff should be cut.
Okay.
Because I think it shows, because one, Midnight has his cat to this day. And so it kind of, I don't think cutting out his friendship with Midnight is fair, because the friendship with Midnight is how they got that internship.
Right. So that's true. So how do you think you fit the 6 chapters into an OVA?
You can just do like 2-3 chapter episodes of an OVA, like just make an hour special.
Okay, so I thought you were just implying like a 23-minute one like they usually do.
No. Just make an hour special, give them.
Yeah. You could easily do that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that'll work. It's not the first time I've seen that done.
Yeah, any of the significant Vigilantes. Personally, I would love it if Vigilantes actually just got an anime.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that'll happen.
I wouldn't give it to Bones, because I don't want them splitting their works even more. But Yeah.
But Vigilantes getting an anime is like the best solution to this, and it might actually happen since we're in the end, like towards the arc anyway.
Yeah, like no matter what the Aizawa stuff needs to get animated, I think. So.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it is very important. It does give you like a big appreciation for him. I'm really happy with how popular he is. He was in the top 10 in the popularity poll, right?
That made me happy. Yeah.
Him and Ida making it made me really happy, because that means Horikoshi still has to recognize that they're Ida fans. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's wow. All right, that's a jarring thing to read, but that threw me off. But Aizawa's always been like a really good character, and so I've always enjoyed him as a teacher. His like presence in the story always makes sense.
Yep.
And I think that his plot line of like constantly surviving through these things can really impact the students more, especially if like he starts opening up to them about.
Yes, that's why I want him to live. Yeah,
and that's why I'm saying like the only time that it made sense back then would have been like maybe it's after this war arc, if he's like talking about like why he became a teacher and et cetera, et cetera. That's the only way I can see it fitting into like the canon.
Yeah. Yeah, you could do that, because if the kids are going, if we're basically having them all like have mental breakdowns, then what you do is you give Aizawa to come in and be like, no, I've been through this too. Here's how I can help you. That way it doesn't feel like we're halting the story. Like it genuinely feels like, no, this is an appropriate time to bring that up.
That's the only way that I can think of. And I do love that Aizawa became a hero that just specialized in beating ass. Yeah. So
I think honestly, like, because we were talking about like wasted opportunities for Bakugo, I just think that Aizawa really does have a lot more to give to the story, quirkless or otherwise, and so I just think he's someone I would want to keep around. if I were writing the story.
Eraser, because people always say that Eraser's power kind of breaks the series, and I still don't agree with that, because at the end of the day, if you just have good physicals, you can still fight him.
He breaks the series in terms of like this was especially apparent in Overhaul Arc, which I used to kind of get not mad, but it used to kind of disappoint me how he was handled. But I now appreciate how every time he did get screwed over, it was protecting Deku. So he did what he came to do, like the whole time. But he breaks the story in the sense that you can kind of see where the writer's hand is a little more easily, where it's like, okay, we need to move Aizawa over here. Which is why I think this arc has been his best showing, because every time he uses Aizawa, it's in places that make Aizawa look really cool, but it still allows other characters to get what they need to do done, and it doesn't break the plot. So I think he's been used very well.
And I think that Aizawa specifically is seen as like plot breaking, because people are like, well, Quirks define everything, but the way he's been used this arc one, like you said, has been like top notch. He's been used as like an excellent support like hero.
When he made that Nomu feel fear, that was great.
Yeah, and because one of the things that always like kind of sucked for Aizawa was that we all knew that he was really good. Like especially like you look at the USJ, like Deku's like, you're a 1v1 specialist, and he's like, watch me run a whole crowd real quick.
Yeah, and it was great.
I'm actually gonna rewatch that after the stream.
Or when he takes down Dabi in like no time.
Yeah, like he's always been ridiculously efficient, and so even when you compare like what happened at Overhaul Arc, that wasn't about. The thing is that people know Eraserhead. Villains know Eraserhead.
Yeah,
that's something that I think is interesting too. Villains pay more attention to Eraserhead than
pretty much any other hero, because even if like they're like, wait, he erased my quirk. Because like Deku didn't even know what Eraserhead looked like on sight when he got in the UA. He was like, wait, he can erase quirks. That's the Erasure hero, Eraserhead. Yeah.
Like he didn't even realize who Eraserhead was on sight. But Overhaul during that arc made it a point to displace them so they could get his quirk and like make bullets out of it, hopefully.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So the fact that it's been emphasized constantly that even when he's injured or taken out of the story, it's literally people trying to get his quirk. Like an Overhaul arc, that's literally someone trying to.
Yeah, there's a reason. It's not just like he got caught in the crossfire. Oh, it just happened to be Eraserhead. Good.
It was he stopped Deku from getting stabbed by Clockboy, okay. And because he sacrificed himself to save Deku, he had to like get incapacitated.
Yep, and even at the very end, he's there to save Deku, or else Ares' quirk would have kept spreading until it killed everybody, basically, as long as its range doesn't stop.
Yeah, Eraserhead is arguably the most competent hero we've actually seen in the series. It's just that he doesn't get to rack up the feats because of his quirk.
Yeah, but which is why I think it would be unfortunate to take him out now when it feels like Horikoshi's really found his footing with where Eraserhead's really useful. Which is why I brought up the idea of like how do we do this without making Eraserhead look bad, which I think it's actually good that his legs like seems to be broken, because that means he's not going to get in a one-on-one fight and get stomped. It means like if Gigantomachia shows up, it's like, well, what do you do? But it's not going to be like he's fighting Shigaraki hand to hand and gets like thrown across a building or whatever, and it's like, well, you're useless. He's going to keep being support, which is a useful place for him to be.
Yeah,
he's also just like I haven't watched too much Naruto, so I can't actually compare the two. But people are always like, "Oh, he's like what's that guy's name?"
Kakashi.
Yeah, he's like a worse version of that guy. But I'm like, every time Aizawa gives advice, like it really like I feel it.
My thing is, I don't see how I understand the Kakashi comparisons, and that's totally fine because they do have similarly like structured stories, and like they lose their friends, they have ocular powers. And they both have like that more cynical, depressing vibe. But the way they both approach teaching is so fundamentally different, where like Kakashi screwed up and like tried to play favorites instead of like, he never like tried to pay attention to Sasuke's heart really. He just tried to like give him the power he was after. And Aizawa makes it a point to not only help foster their power, but he makes it a point to address their hearts, address their decision-making, how they approach things. He doesn't just teach quirk in combat, he teaches like being a hero. He's literally teaching the full role. And actually, yeah, Tarnish, if I'm honest, I like Aizawa as a teacher more than Kakashi.
Yeah. I've just heard the comparisons a lot, and I'm just like, from everything I've seen of Aizawa, Other than like, if you want to complain about him getting kind of like defeated a lot during Overhaul arc, like all of his advice and like emotional support, like that scene with him and Deku being like, I know you're probably going to do this, so like instead of being a strict teacher, I'm going to go with you because I want you to believe in me and trust in me, and I want and stuff like that, and like even though your hands didn't reach her now, just reaching out to her at all gave her hope. Like that stuff like hit really hard. So
Dude, when I like watched that moment in the anime, I was like,
yeah, the
ooh,
anime elevated it.
oof. So yeah,
Definitely love the aesthetic of that scene as well.
Oh, it was so good.
Aizawa has to. I'm gonna have to give Aizawa a video. I need to quit slacking on my analysis videos. All right.
Need that Night Eye video.
Yep, I got to do my Night Eye one. Eraser deserves one. Actually, I have my notebook with my Night Eye notes, and we can finish that up. So maybe that'll be what I try to drop on Wednesdays. I'll try to do that. I'm gonna try.
When are you gonna do that power scaling stream?
That's supposed to be next Sunday.
Okay.
Because I'm going to be I'm going to be on people's necks because there were people who said they were going to send me lists, so they better make sure I get those.
Is that not Father's Day?
Oh, is next Sunday Father's Day? Is it?
Because I'm pretty sure it is. Let me check my calendar.
See. Oh man.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I was like, if that's the case, I can't.
Yeah.
Yep. Next Sunday is Father's Day.
Oof. Who has parents they actually care about?
Me.
I know. All right, that means I might have to put it at a different time. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
I mean, if it's just like if you can still find people, then do it.
Oh, of course, I have multiple people who are interested, but I'd rather have. Even though I also want to figure out what's going on with Zoom, because that one I definitely would rather do on Zoom.
Yeah, more people.
This has a 6. Yeah, this has a 6 people cap, so I definitely would rather be able to get to. We can do that on Zoom. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on with that.
But no, this was a really good stream. Like I think we covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we covered everything here. So
I got to do some of my comedy material.
Yeah.
So I was actually all right. So guys, real quick, Squid, let's hear your final thoughts.
Okay, so I actually really liked the chapter, and I found it very interesting the way Horikoshi was basically setting up multiple different plot elements, the bullets dropping, then he's grabbing it at the end of the chapter, the stuff with Shigaraki, just like not being used to the power as much, like he jumps and then smashes his head on a wall like an ostrich. It was and he's just setting up all this stuff like Shigaraki, Bakugo, Deku, and all this stuff simultaneously while making a cohesive and very well written chapter. So I will give this a solid 8 out of 10, which is a great chapter in my opinion. So yeah.
All right, Ian.
Already said my piece. Horikoshi does the exact same thing every week, and that thing he does is bring greatness. The one thing he has not done every week in a long time is bring my boy Deku into the spotlight and make me cry. So until that happens, we're still in the 8 or 9 range. Honestly, you know what? I think I was a bit too harsh. I will give it a 9 because everything we've talked about has convinced me that like there's no reason not to. There's just all these very strong moments and very strong double spreads and things, and just like all the character stuff. But no, I will never budge. A 10 out of 10 is a Deku making me cry chapter. So until we get that, we'll just have to wait and see. But overall,
you ever gonna do a Vigilante stream, please?
Oh, you're right. I'm gonna have to give Vigilantes more love.
So
I also need to start reshilling my case for Vigilantes. Okay. Also, if you're watching this stream and you're still not sure if you want to read Vigilantes, I have a video on this channel about why you should watch it. So if you can watch that and still not be like,
I can make it better. If you don't watch Vigilantes, I will personally come to your house and slap you up. It's that simple.
Yeah, he's gonna use air blast on you.
All right, kid, let's hear your final thoughts.
Let's go.
For this chapter, I really like the whole growth with Bakugo's character. I think that's one of the things that I really liked about this. The fact that you could see how well him and Deku are growing with each other, because I recorded my video a couple hours ago, and I remember one of the things I was saying was that I liked how you can. That's one of the things I really like about My Hero is that you can always look back and compare to how much characters have grown, and I just love how close Deku and Bakugo are now. Like how Bakugo before, he probably wouldn't jump in there to help Deku. Now he knows that Deku's in danger and he wants to do the best that he possibly can to protect him. He said himself, would you rather some random person come in here and have you tell him this long ass story, or would you rather have me that already knows everything to protect your ass? So I really like the whole dynamic between those two characters. I always loved it. It's one of my favorite dynamics in the series. And I also just love seeing just how much every single week Horikoshi's improving with his art, his writing, different plot points that he's addressing. And I'm honestly really excited to see what we're going to be doing with Aizawa, because Aizawa is one of my favorite characters in this series. I really appreciate what Horikoshi has done with him. So I'm definitely interested to see what sort of direction he's going to utilize his character. Because one thing I do know about Horikoshi is, whatever he does, he always makes sure to have his characters shine. If they're side characters, main characters, whatever it may be. So I'm definitely expecting, to see some Aizawa praise on the timeline on Twitter in the next few weeks.
You're gonna see that on your TL.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's something I'm definitely looking forward to.
All right. So my final thoughts, like I said earlier, for me, this chapter was 10 out of 10. From the art being absolutely destructive to the story, just tying so many people's character arcs into, because this chapter lets you know that the next 2 to 3 chapters are going to have some insane characterization. There's going to be people are going to be going through something in these next couple of chapters, and I do believe that because the stage is getting set, I think that Shoto and them are going to be collapsing in, moving in. They're going to be we completed the evac of the citizens, so you're going to have Ida, these people coming back, moving in to try to help out, and we're going to have the full faction, the full relevant faction, the main characters will be on the stage, and it won't be all of 1A. That's all I got to say about that. But yeah, that's where I think we're going. The story is set up to be these next 5 to 10 chapters will probably be the most insane chapters we get in My Hero Academia, unless the finale of this arc is 20, 30 chapters away from now. But regardless, for where we are right now, this is the highest My Hero has ever been for me. And that's means a lot coming from the person who started his channel specifically, because I remember arguing with people in kids Discord a year before, months before I got started my channel. I was in kids Discord, and I remember being in Brago's Discord specifically and telling people a villain versus villain arc was coming, and having people be very, nah, I don't see it. So that was the ultimate validation, and I was all right, we got to do this now.
I noticed that a lot of harsh criticizers of the series are very contradictory. In one case, they'll claim it's generic. In the other case, they will want the show to do the generic thing. Okay, so so we take Deku for example, right? They'll say, "Oh, Deku's just this overpowered, character and stuff." Would you rather have him be this dude that's just some impossibility in this world, and he's always making new gear and stuff that doesn't fit, which is even more generic?
Yeah,
the Batman thing literally doesn't work in My Hero Academia.
It doesn't.
It's tragic.
Actually, I
unless you want to be on Stendhal's level where you're catching bodies in alleyways, then sure,
Yeah,
go for it.
And he was still just street level. So
Yeah, this man was handling thugs on the block.
not.
Yeah. I also want to say this as well, though. A lot of people need to stop. I know not everybody does this, but a lot of people need to give Ochako a chance.
Yeah, people just decided they don't like her. Period. The end.
Yeah.
They just decided she's a love interest after she said, "I'm not going to be a love interest," and then stopped doing that.
And
because I remember a few years ago, I made this thread talking about Ochako's character growth, and one of the things that I brought up is that during the provisional lights and the exam, that as you just said, she looked at Deku running away when they were doing that one test where they had to like protect the civilians when like all these villains were approaching. And one of the things she said was like, you know what, I got to put my feelings to the side right now. I need to focus on the priority at hand, which is to be a hero. And I remember towards the end of the overhaul arc, she was sitting down with Sue and she was talking to Aizawa, and Aizawa was talking to her, and he was like, you know, I know this must be hard on you, you know, etc. So on. And then we had this whole thing while Chaka was just looking down, and then she's like, I want to save people. And then flash forward to joint training, you get that moment between her and Deku, and then you had the whole thing brought up where she was like, who's going to be there who's going to be there to protect the heroes when they're in danger, which is obviously going to come in effect again because Horikoshi has had these panels just focusing on Ochako. And when Deku and Bakugo took off, you saw another panel like that. So I definitely expect to see something from her. So a lot of people like need to understand, like, she's not like this love interest where she's like all over Deku and stuff like that. Like, obviously they both have crushes on each other, but they understand the need to focus on the priority at hand right now. And she's probably going to be doing something pretty big in the next couple of chapters. I can guarantee that.
And
I
the
noticed
best part
one
is-
thing.
Hold on, wait.
Okay.
The best part about that is the reality is neither of them even know the other has a crush on them.
Yeah.
Their interactions are purely based upon assumed platonicism.
Yep.
Mhm.
They assume the other one's not interested.
Yeah, that is true now that you mention it.
And so everything about their relationship has nothing to do with a ship.
Yeah, there's never like,
They like each other.
ooh. Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah, that
all
is
about,
true.
like, their friendship and like building each other up as heroes. Their entire relationship, even though they have these feelings for each other, focuses on like the business side of things. And like, yeah, they're nice to each other. They hang out and give each other like gifts and stuff. But still, like, it's not.
Yeah.
She's
They're-
not
they're-
Once
They're
she
coworkers,
gets her
not
moment,
coworkers
it'll be
with
all over.
benefits.
Yeah.
Hell, she had a great moment in joint training.
No.
Oh,
I mean like the moment that like nobody can ignore, you know, like those type of things. Because like we notice that stuff, but everyone else is busy being like 6 quirks, blah blah blah. Like I mean, like we are focusing on Ochako. Here's her moment.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and once that comes into view, that's it. Like when that happens with most characters, that's usually when they go back and be like, "Oh, this was being set up all along. Crazy." Yeah.
Yeah, cause I saw someone on Twitter like I think a few weeks ago or so where they're saying, "Oh, is it gonna be like a whole pain situation with Hinata where Ochako's gonna go fight Shigaraki and then Deku's gonna get all angry?" And I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, why are you thinking like that?"
Like, I don't want
Oh.
that.
Naruto PTSD thing. Like that's why I always meme it all the time because I don't know why people always have to compare like series to each other. Like just let Horikoshi do his own thing.
Listen, PTSD comes in a variety of forms. Some people get it in
I
that. Other
understand
people
that.
get it from the Fourth Shinobi War.
I
Both were
understand that,
traumatizing.
but it comes to a point in life where you need to move on.
Sama doesn't kick in until they read Boruto, and then it all comes crumbling down.
Yeah. All right. So
All right,
I'm gonna wrap up the stream here.
actual ending.
Yes.
Vigilante
Thanks
stream.
everybody for coming through.
No
problem.
problem.
Showed up, you know,
No
especially
problem.
it's like later than usual
Squid.
too. So the fact that you guys made it and came on is actually really appreciated. Thanks to all my viewers that are out here. I appreciate you guys coming in every week. Sincerely.
With
Uh,
aka the GOAT.
do me a favor, guys. If you have the Viz subscription, it's an 18+ manga. Come on, adult themes here. Read Hell's Paradise. It's my second favorite manga that's running right now. So check out Hell's Paradise. It overtook Jujutsu Kaisen for me.
Ooh.
Yeah, Jujutsu Kaisen is currently third. Even with the insanity that was Toji today, Jujutsu Kaisen is currently third now. Hell's Paradise is my number 2. Please check it out. I think a lot of you, if you read K&Y and you enjoyed K&Y, but you started feeling like it fell off, check this out. It's got swordsmen that are hunting like monsters and all kinds of stuff that have to cut specific points on people to get the kills, same even stricter conditions actually. Because in this one, the main people that they need to kill, you need to slice through their, not only do you have to slice through their navel, but you also have to have the right attribute of Tau. So if you don't have the right element, you still can't kill somebody for the most part.
Very cool.
So there's a lot more complexity to the way that those, like the element combat works, and the way it focuses heavily on social structuring in Japan at the time, and the samurai class and those kinds of things. So it plays into that very well. So make sure if you guys I promise you, if you read the first 6 chapters, you'll probably like it. So check out Jigo Karaku, Hell's Paradise.
All right.
Tarnish, y'all not reading.
Read Vigilantes, otherwise I'll slap you.
Got to read Chainsaw Man too. That's getting pretty interesting right now.
Oh yeah, the Chainsaw Man chapter today was like a.
I don't have anything to shill, so I'll do it for Rex. Read A Gravity Boys or something.
Today's chapter of Chainsaw Man was a gut punch. But all right,
What?
All right.
we're going to end this here because I got to go do some other stuff. But again, thanks everybody for coming through.
All right.
Appreciate you. We're going to end the project. Everybody.
Peace.